is suing her former employer, Robert Erdman, for medical costs and lost wages after being attacked by his rooster.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 1170, Thomas versus Erdman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Thomas, your son was renting a room in the defendant's home.
Correct.
You have a home that has how many bedrooms?
3. I'm renting it, ma'am.
How long have you been renting the house?
I'm no longer there. I rented it from May until October 1st.
May of this year until October?
May of last year, so it'll be
May 2020?
Yes, ma'am.
Just for curiosity, why did you move out?
I came originally to San Diego before COVID to spend a few weeks before I moved to the UK. And because of COVID, I had to rent a house. So because I couldn't leave, we were all in lockdown.
Right. So you rented the house.
Yes.
Did you sign a lease?
Yes.
Did the lease permit you to rent out rooms in the house?
Yes.
It did. I want you to think very carefully. Did the lease permit you to rent out rooms? It's a private dwelling.
The answer is I'm not sure.
That's a better answer. And what was the rent?
$4,850.
How many tenants did you have?
A tenant, I'm sorry. I had a roommate. To my knowledge, I would call it a roommate.
How many roommates did you have?
1.
How many people lived in the house?
2. Myself and the roommate.
Which roommate?
At the time of this incident, it would be Mr. Santoyo.
The property contains a house and some property that allows you to have chickens and a rooster.
Yes.
Where did you get the chickens and the rooster from?
From the Vista Feed Store in Vista, California.
Were they young when you got them?
Yes, they're 3 days old.
Got one rooster?
The crux of the matter is that when you get chicks, you do not know the sex of them, so it becomes problematic later. And some people don't get roosters at all.
You got one rooster?
Yes.
How many chicks?
There were 6.
So you have 5 hens?
Yes. They're no longer in my possession. They're in Valley Center.
What's Valley Center?
It's a place near outside San Diego where chickens are legal. The problem is that roosters, after I received a letter in the 15th of January, I've discovered that roosters were not legal.
Where you lived?
Correct.
Okay. So this is what the case is about. Now I have a little bit of the background, what you were doing there. Your son was living with him as a tenant. You're paying $800 a month rent, and the defendant learned that you did house cleaning.
Yes.
That was your company, and you just...
A small company.
And you started to clean the premises.
Correct.
Where your son also lived.
Yes.
And it is your claim that the rooster that was there was an aggressive rooster and attacked you on 2 separate occasions during the time you were cleaning, and you want to be compensated to the tune of $7,000. Okay, so we have certain givens. We have a given that you were cleaning there. Given?
There was an offer made to clean.
And she did?
Yes.
And you did pay her?
Yes, but it was, if I may, it was my decision to pay her. At first she offered to do it for...
Whatever. You paid her?
Yes.
It was a service that she was offering?
Correct.
How much did you pay her?
$100 the first time.
How many times did you clean the house?
I cleaned this home from October 17, 2020 till December the 11th, 2020.
I'm going to ask
About
you again.
6 times.
How many times did you go to his house to clean his house?
In that time spent 6 times.
And how much did he pay you each time you went?
Between $40 and $60. I never got paid $100.
Between $40 and $60 a day. And I assume you visited your son there, so you knew that Mr. Erdman had a rooster and chickens.
That's correct.
And of the 6 times, you only had a problem, according to your papers, with the rooster on 2 occasions.
That's correct.
The first occasion was in October.
No, December the 8th.
12/8.
Yes.
Okay. On 12/8, describe what happened with the rooster.
I went outside to take the trash out.
What
to the
time?
alley. I would say around 10:45 a.m.
What time had you arrived that day? Do you recall?
9 a.m.
So you went outside to take the garbage out?
Yes.
And?
And Mr. Erdman was standing to my left by the coop, petting his hens, and the hens were in the coop, and the rooster was in the coop. And as I was coming back from the alley, I was walking on the walkway, and I don't know how it happened. All of a sudden, the rooster just came up. Actually, it's as huge as a turkey, 30 pounds. Came up, came at me, scratched me, and I had enough time just to put my arm out so it wouldn't hit in my face.
Oh, it scratched your arm?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a picture of your arm?
Yes. That is just the
Just a second.
first time.
Just a second. I was just taking a look. I want to see. Okay. Okay, so it scratched you with a claw.
Yeah, with the claws.
It scratched you with a claw. This
Yes.
scratch. Okay. You didn't seek medical attention for this. It's a
Not for
scratch.
this, no.
It's a scratch.
Yes.
Okay. Want to see the scratch?
I can see them here. Thank
It's
you.
a scratch. Okay. So that's October 8th. Next.
The next injury was December the 11th.
Now, between the 8th and the 11th, had you been back to the house?
Yes, on the 10th for my regular cleaning service.
Anything happen on the 10th?
No. Everything went fine.
Just a second. So on the 10th, you were there and everything was fine. Do you remember getting paid on the 10th?
Yes,
How much did you get paid on the 10th?
$40.
And you put some peroxide on this thing,
Correct.
or you put something on and it went away?
Yes, Neosporin.
Okay. Now tell me what happened on the 11th.
The 11th, I came to Mr. Erdman's home at 9 a.m. He was highly upset.
Just a second. Highly upset is a conclusion. What did he say to you and what did you say to him?
I rang the doorbell, he opened the door. I asked him why the boxes and things from the front room was not picked up, because the day before I didn't have time to clean the floor.
Just a second. He opened the door and you said to him,
Good morning.
and
I came in and I looked around and I asked him, Robert, you didn't pick up the things that we agreed on the day before.
okay, explain that to me. You had had a discussion the day before about picking up what?
I was supposed to do the wood flooring. He's a very renowned photographer, so he had boxes, pictures, papers, business papers, all stacked up. And in order for me to do the floor, he had told me the day before that he would clear everything
Would
out.
clear everything out. So you walked in and you said, Robert, you didn't clean up so that I could do the floor.
Yes.
And he said to you,
He said, I don't want to discuss the floor. I want to discuss Jose. Where's Jose? He hasn't been here 3 nights, and I'm tired of him not coming home at night. And
just a second. So he said to you, I don't want to discuss the floor. I want to discuss your son.
Yes.
He hasn't been home for 3 nights.
Yes.
And what did you say to him?
He said, I feel that he should be more active, be more of a friend in the home, to be here in the evenings. And I told him, I'm not in charge of my son. I mean, he's 39 years old. And there is nothing I can do to influence him to be home at night. And the conversation continued with me. I told him, I don't want to continue this conversation. I will finish the windows. And
I'll leave.
The conversation was kind of done for me. I proceeded to prepare.
Okay. What happened next?
Judy Thomas claims her former employer, Robert Erdman, owes for medical costs and lost wages resulting from 2 rooster attacks.
Now, what happened next?
As I was doing the windows, everything was fine. Mr. Erdman went out to his coop. I was doing the bay windows in the inside and proceeded to the French doors. And as I finished the inside, I went to the kitchen sink, which is facing, I guess, east. And the French doors are this way, so I couldn't see behind me. So I was changing the water. And while I was changing the water, Mr. Erdman, I presume he came in, or I'm thinking he came in while I was standing, because when I turned around with the bucket, I went this way, went towards the French doors, and looked down, and there was this ill hen in
A what?
He had a sick hen that was dying, so he had it in a little basket and a blanket, and he put it right in front. These are the windows right in front of the door. So when I went out, I turned around. Here's my bucket, and I'm looking at this hen, and I'm thinking.
You turned around, you saw a hen you hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
And
I'm doing the window, so I'm turning around thinking, where is this rooster? And as I'm turning around, the rooster comes this way from the hen, claws me, and I'm up like this. I hit it down, otherwise it would have been clawed more.
No. Don't tell me what otherwise. So the rooster clawed you again?
Yes.
Do you have pictures of that injury?
Yes. That's the only picture I have. I didn't take more. I just didn't think to take more. That was the same day.
Okay. So this is a healed scratch.
This is the old one.
Just a second.
Yeah.
This is a healed scratch. Mm-hmm. And these 2 marks come from this rooster attack on the 11th.
On the 11th, yes.
Okay. So did you seek emergency treatment for these?
No, I did not.
So there is no medical report?
No.
What did you do for these 2 marks?
these two marks are combined with my ankle. So when they both happened the same day, the same time, I also got injured on my ankle. The rooster, I whipped it down, it went down, and it pecked me 3 times.
On the ankle?
Yes.
Well, where's
So-
the photograph of it?
Right here.
I'd like to see it.
Actually, just take them out. They dated in order.
Well, what you're suggesting to me is that there's a puncture in your foot that caused it to swell.
Yeah, the peck.
I'd like to see a medical record of that.
I don't have medical insurance. I don't go to the doctors here. What I did, I went to Mexico. I saw a certified pharmacist. I do all my medications through Mexico. I don't have health insurance. I'm a Rasta. So I don't go to the doctor here. What I do is I have 28 years experience in the medical field. I'm a retired RN. I worked for the Navy, Balboa Medical Center.
Listen,
I took my medical advice and I had
And
the
whatever
pharmacist look at-
it was, you treated this
On my own,
alleged
yeah.
wound on your foot from the rooster.
Yes.
Go. Let's not even talk about December 8th when she got scratched. I don't have to hear about it. I want you to go
By the
to
time it was December 11th, there had been previous conversations about steering clear of the rooster because it was aggressive.
which is probably why it's not legal.
Yes, entirely true. Also because it's quite noisy,
Yeah.
more to the point.
He didn't interrupt you. Don't interrupt him.
The conversation at the door when Miss Thomas walked in was heated, and it was.
Why was it heated, Mr. Erdman?
Miss Thomas was extremely angry that the papers weren't taken up and gave me a lecture about it.
No, that's a conclusion. What did she say, and what did you say?
I don't have an exact recollection of it. I can say that it was heated. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Heated on both sides or heated on just one side?
Both sides.
Both. Okay, so now there's a heated discussion. The heated discussion is over. She continues to do her work.
Yeah, it affected the dynamics of the next hour, I would say. And that was part of the lack of additional dialogue concerning the whereabouts of the rooster who was out with the chickens free range every day. So rather than asking me, or rather than closing the doors, as there had been discussions about keeping away from the rooster, the doors were left open. I would say by both of us, I would say. There was a chicken in the house because it was going to go to the vets. Yes, Miss Thomas was scratched by the rooster. The rooster can't fly up high up enough to scratch. There's a thing called flogging, which is where they use the back of their claws to go at people. I did express concern. I asked if she needed attention. And
That was on the 11th.
Yes.
Okay. On the 11th, did you see these 2 claw marks on her arm?
I only remember the one towards her ankle. She showed it to me.
But nothing on the arm?
We didn't discuss the arm, so I can't tell you that. I'm sorry.
Okay. After the 11th of December, did Miss Thomas come back to work for you?
I haven't kept the record, but I do not think so.
After the 11th, Miss Thomas, did you come back to work for Mr. Erdman?
No, I got terminated the same night.
Tell me how that happened.
I sent him a text message with the pictures of my injuries.
I'd like to see the text message that you sent him, and I'd like to see his response.
Here.
So she sent you a note on that day showing you her swollen foot.
Yes, I remember.
And you said to her, "Good evening, I'm sorry to see that your foot is swollen. I will talk to the vet on Tuesday about trimming back his claw."
Correct.
And then you say to her, "Judy, I think that under the circumstances, that as much as I regret it, it would not be a good idea to have you here on a regular basis. Unfortunately, there is nothing more to discuss on the subject. You are always, of course, welcome here with Jose's invitation. Happy holidays to you. All the best." Now, you sent the defendant a photograph of your foot, and it was clearly swollen. You treated it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take after you treated it yourself for the swelling to go down?
3.5 weeks.
Do you have any proof of that?
It's only shows in the picture because they are dated. I have 8 weeks of pictures, so they all dated in the back. That's the process of the healing. So it starts with the 8th until the 29th of December. And then I have the other ones that show from December until the end of January, where it's getting better and better. But these are all
Ms.
dates.
Thomas, did you go to see an attorney?
No.
These are very angry pictures.
Judy Thomas claims her former employer, Robert Erdman, owes for medical costs and lost wages resulting from 2 rooster attacks.
Now, did you ever think of getting a tetanus shot?
I had my last tetanus shot 7 years ago.
So what did you do to treat
I
this
took antibiotics.
that you got yourself
Yes.
from Mexico?
Yes.
Did you ever communicate with the defendant after December 11th?
Yes.
When?
I sent him text messages from the 11th. I have him in my phone. I almost communicated with him on a weekly basis. I send him pictures, updates.
I would like to see the last update you sent him with regard to your injury. Do you recall when that was, Mr. Erdman?
No, I do not. I deleted all the messages from Ms. Wahlberg about a month ago when I was leaving for where I was going next.
Didn't you think that by keeping you updated that she was going to sue you? I mean, otherwise, why would she keep you updated?
Here.
Did I think she was sue me? It's plausible. I didn't think of it on a regular basis.
The update to him. Yes.
Okay, so the last email that you sent him with a photograph was on the 1st of January of 2021. And it's a 3-week update today, still very sore with a hard bump at both sites, palpable at the touch and visible to the eye. Right forearm is healed with visible scarring. And then on January 3rd, Mr. Erdman writes back to you, I have repeatedly texted your son regarding his move out. He has notified me of his intention to move out on the 3rd, which is tomorrow. The rent is due on the 1st of the month, and while I have made allowances for him for late payment, that is no longer an option. I would suggest that you make sure that he's getting his text in case he has had issues with his phone. I have no interest in hearing back from you. I am contacting you so that there is sufficient evidence that I have tried my best to contact Jose. And then you respond to him. Listen, real good, you piece of blank landlord. First off, your mistake is you have no contact with my son. He does not have to move out on January 3rd, 2021. What is wrong with you? Do you know anything about renters' rights? And then there's an expletive. He only lived there 2.5 months, and you went crazy as so-called landlord. Now he is moving, and you as a landlord need to give him his appropriate time to move out and find appropriate accommodations. I do not understand your problem, but you need help. Also, now regarding the injury I sustained in December 2020 at your home by your rooster while in your cleaning service, would you like to address this issue? I have been contacting you for at least 3 weeks via text. Called, did not get any answer, and forwarded my injury pictures regarding this injury, and you have not responded once. Please let me know how you would like to handle or move forward with this issue by the end of January. After this date, I will file a case in small claims court against you with a valid animal control case. Looking forward to hearing from you. Okay, so she did contact you, Mr. Erdman, and send you photographs during that 3-week period of her swollen leg, an injury. How did you propose to address it? You do understand that the animal injured her on your property while she was working there, and you are responsible for that.
I would say that the aggressive behavior kept me from knowing what to do, and if she was going to take me to small claims court, she would do so. It's very simple. Her behavior and that kind of language was enough in that text.
Well, enough after 3 weeks of contacting you when she hadn't heard from you, Mr. Erdman. I mean, neither one of you appear to be aggressive kind of people. The fact that you resorted to language that was unbecoming a lady.
Can
that
I
happens.
say why?
No. It's not important. You did. And he should have responded because it was his animal. His animal became aggressive. He was there. It was his responsibility to contain what he knew to be an aggressive animal. He evidently knew that one of the claws was too long. You didn't do anything aggressively towards the animal. He is responsible for it. You're suing him for $7,000. I actually believe that you are entitled to that. You had at least 3 weeks' worth of injury and discomfort, and I think that you are entitled to what you're suing for, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $7,000. We're finished.
Court is adjourned.
The rooster was supposed to be kept in its coop at all times while I was in service.
You'd have to ask her why she kept on coming back. Probably I have no idea why.
And I believe he purposely left the rooster out.
Oh, I think it's just a difference in attitude about life in general.
Just a very eccentric guy, so there was lots of ups and downs having to deal with, age differences and everything like that. So.
Don't buy chickens and you might get a rooster.
Thank you, Judge Judy, for giving this Judy justice.
Well, that was a much more interesting case than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I'd say so. And I was surprised that you granted her the entire $7,000 that she was asking for with no medical bills, no receipts, I just thought that was interesting, sort of out of character for you.
I was moved by the fact that she wasn't making up her injury, that she had documented both in photograph and in text messages to him over that whole 3-week period, that her leg was swollen. He acknowledged that he saw the injury on the day that it happened. And the fact that during that 3-week period, he didn't say, is there something that you need from me? Acknowledging responsibility.
Yeah.
He did not. And she suffered an injury for 3 weeks.
Yeah. And I was impressed that she documented it. I loved your question. Did you meet with an attorney before you started documenting? No? She knew that it was going to be something that was going to come up later, and she kept her documents in order, which is just how we like it.
Right. Perfect. I think she was much more credible, and I was surprised at the case and surprised at the outcome.
Yeah.
And that's unusual.
Don Schultz is suing his neighbor, Varlin DeVuti, for assault, extortion, and harassment.
Now, what I'm telling you is, this is a social situation, and what you've been doing for 15 years with your cats, I don't give a rat's behind about. You had a neighbor, and clearly you were used to doing things a certain way. I have no idea whether the prior tenants in that place, well, he says he has a prior tenant sitting here. Were you there prior to the DeVutis moving in?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so she's going to testify on behalf of the defendant. So I don't know whether you've had problems with other people who live there with your semi-feral cats. I don't know. But if you have, and if you live in such close proximity, that's selfish and not being a good neighbor. And if you had prior warning about it, and evidently I don't think she came here for nothing to tell me what a terrific neighbor you are. Otherwise she'd be sitting on that side. So you've had this problem before. The DeVutis moved in subsequent to this neighbor, and they were older people, and they were older sick people because his father passed away. His mother is clearly, based upon what he told me,
That's right,
not well. You clearly had a father situation that you were dealing with and should have been more sensitive. But he told you that there was an odor created by your cats that you clearly got used to. And it didn't bother you, but it bothered your neighbors, not only this neighbor. So was he being unreasonable? I don't know. I think that when you put food out for animals that encourages them on a regular basis, once or twice a day, to come to your house, and you don't have a litter box outside for them, and you live in close proximity, they're going to urinate and defecate, and they're not always going to pick your side of the house. So all you have to do is, if you love the cats, then you either bring them inside and provide a place for them to eat, so they'll want to come in there and eat, and they'll get used to the litter box, or you rehome them. And that's not a legal interpretation, sir. That's a social situation.
Yes, ma'am.
We live in a community where we have certainly forgotten about a certain amount of civility that doesn't necessarily always require a legal judgment. If my neighbor, stand up, please. And your last name is?
Carrillo.
How long did you live as Mr. Schultz's neighbor?
I moved in September 2013, and I moved out December 2017.
Did you ever have any issues surrounding his cats?
Yes, I did.
Tell me about it.
The same.
Did you discuss it with Mr. Schultz?
We sure did. We exchanged messages. We exchanged emails.
I'd like to take a look at them. And you moved out in December
2017.
I'd like to see the emails, please. Okay, so this was February 20th of 2015 when she first wrote to you, because evidently you were complaining that her dog pooped in the backyard. And she says, my dog does not relieve itself in the backyard. Any poop that you're seeing is from your 3 or 4 cats that you feed. I'm sure they also go in the back and poop. I have also seen poop in the front lawn. I thought it was very inconsiderate of you to have put the poop under the bench. I assume that that's what happened. You found some sort of poop under a bench?
Yes.
I'm sure that since you have been living here for so long, you have come across this poop issue. Therefore, the poop you've seen in the backyard is cat poop. So if you continue to see poop in the backyard, keep in mind that it belongs to the cats. What her statement is a simple one. You've been aware that having semi-feral cats has caused problems for your neighbors for a long time. And sit down. Okay. It's just an issue that I wanted to clarify. Now, Mr. Schultz, Mr. DeVuti, has told me what his version of what happened on the 29th of November.
Correct.
Now, understanding that there was some negative history between the two of you, I want you to tell me your version of what happened.
He started with my family first, and when I was not here, he was constantly harassing my mom and sister, sending texts to me.
I understand that there was friction between the two of you, and the friction between the two of you surrounded the cats.
With my mom, mostly.
Well, the texts were not with your mom.
Well, before me, it was my sister and my mom, yes. Then I took
I'm
over.
talking about just you.
Correct.
Your mom and your sister aren't here.
Correct.
This incident involved the two of you.
Right.
I want you just to tell me what happened the day that you saw the plaintiff working in his garage.
Right. Actually, he was working. He had blocked. I have the pictures of it. He had blocked our garage. When I came in with the car, so I couldn't park in. So I backed up. I parked on the street, which he usually blocks our driving all the time.
Not usually. So that day, he was working in the garage. So where was his stuff that you couldn't pull into your garage?
On our side of the garage. His garbage, and he had a ladder working on it, so I couldn't park in. So I said, okay, whatever. I didn't ask him to move. So I just packed up, went parked on the street. So
now you're walking up to the garage.
And I was walking by to our back house where I sleep.
Be very, very careful, because if I had had these negative text messages with him, I wouldn't have been happy with him, especially since I had to pull out and find a parking place on the street. So let's understand you're not a saint.
Don Schultz says his neighbor Varlin DeVuti owes him for an assault. Varlin is countersuing for the same assault and wrongfully towing his car.
So what happened as you were walking in?
He started ranting. I don't know what.
You don't know what he said, or you couldn't hear what he said?
I couldn't hear what he was saying. He was just screaming like he is now. He always does that.
Okay. And then what happened?
And then he just came up and totally punched me right in front of the group when I was walking in towards my gate.
Punched you where?
In my face.
What had precipitated that?
I asked him. I wouldn't know. That's why I actually have texts. I asked him 3 times, why did you do that?
I'd like to see that.
And he says he was in a very bad state of mind.
Okay, I'd like to see that.
Right away, he punched me.
Just a second.
That's where he starts.
Okay.
And I think one continuation. Those are his text messages. Why he hit me.
Well, the first thing that you say to him, Mr. Schultz, is, I'm really sorry that happened, Varlin.
Yes, ma'am.
He goes on, he said, I took the high road. I didn't file charges yet because, again, I'm not mean, deceiving, violent person and full of anger like you are. Could have hit you back so good for self-defense, knock you out, and you know the rest. You act like a little tattletale child. It's embarrassing for a grown person. Choose your actions and words wisely next time and how you treat people. Okay, I'm on the line right now with my factor. And then you write back a little while later, you say to him, okay, you're right. I've been defensive, but you have to realize, Varlin, 3 landlords have been trying to get me out of here for the last 20 years. Then when your parents moved in, I did everything I could to help them. Then on top of the stress of the landlord wanting me to leave, as nice of a guy as he has been, I still knew he wanted me to leave. That's when we had issue of the cats and the cameras, and the stress tripled. So when I started texting the landlord like a little tattletale kid, that was about the stuff in the backyard, I was really just not myself. Everything was a blur. I was on autopilot, stressed to the ultimate max. I just reacted to everything the best I could. Now thinking you're something and everything else wanted me gone for my home of 40 years. So if you try to see things from my point of view and the stress levels, maybe you can see why I may be acting a little defensive. I'm sorry for this. I didn't want it to be like this. And then you say to him, I just don't know how to shake the feeling and I'm not wanted. And that's a really powerful emotion that's not very nice and not at all comfortable. Going to bed and waking up every day with that feeling is like each waking moment in a kind of hell. So that's why I've been defensive. Maybe you can try to understand that and sympathize somewhat. One last chance to work this out. Otherwise, I will guarantee you will cost you way more than my glasses.
That's him talking to me.
Yeah. See, after all this and what you did, still being bigger man here and being neighborly and trying to work it out. So when you punched him, did you break his glasses, Mr. Schultz?
I believe so, yes.
And then you paid him for the glasses that you broke.
He demanded that I pay him, yes.
And that's after you apologized to him, right after the event.
Yeah, I apologized for it.
You apologized to him. I'm sorry for what happened.
That's
and what
right.
you're explaining to him in these emails is that you were under a whole bunch of stress because the landlord is trying to take your home away.
And
Mr. Davudi was complicit with the landlord in trying to take your home away by reporting all this vermin and flies and stuff with the cats. And I assume that since this has been going on for at least 6 or 7 years, because the defendant's witness testified that she had told you about the disgusting filth that your semi-feral cats were bringing around the house, you'd been knowing this was going on, so that you've been in that stress for a long time. Now, you say that when you walked up, he punched you in the face.
Correct.
How many times did he punch you?
Once.
And then he went back into his house.
Right. He ran away. He ran back.
You called the police.
I did.
And I assume the police came to you first.
Yes. Because right away when I called, he came in. He said, I was going to call. And I said, well, I called. I just canceled. Let's work this out. That was his.
So, Mr. Schultz, based upon what I've heard and putting all the pieces together and the texts together, I'm going to address each thing that was here. One, your complaint is for $2,500, money owed for filing a false TRO. I don't believe that Mr. Davudi filed a false TRO. I believe that you punched him. And I don't believe that he choked you. I believe that you punched him. And that's why you apologized to him. So I'm dismissing that part of your complaint. I'm dismissing the part of your complaint that claims an assault. I believe that on that day, because of the stress you were under, for which you apologized, that you were the aggressor in the assault. The next part of your complaint talks about extortion, and that extortion is that unless you pay for his glasses, he's going to go to the police. Well, since I believe that you punched him first and broke his glasses...
I have a picture that shows my neck.
Just a second.
You said you don't want to see it.
Sir, I don't want to see it because I don't believe it. Just a second. I don't want to see it because I don't believe it.
All right.
Do you see what I mean? I don't believe it. I don't believe that there were marks on your neck that he caused. I don't believe it.
Thank you.
Well, the police
So I'm eliminating. I believe that there were marks on your neck. I just don't believe he did it. That's what I.
Where
that's
are you
what
drawing
I'm.
that conclusion?
Just a second.
He choked me first.
Just a second.
He choked me first, ma'am.
Let me tell you something, sir. You can say it as many times as you like.
I wouldn't.
I don't believe it.
Why would I just
because
hit him?
Why?
I wouldn't just hit him.
You are, sir,
All right.
your own worst enemy.
All right.
Because knowing who you are, based upon what I see here,
I understand.
based upon what I see here.
Yeah, well, that whole thing was trumped up to make me angry and get me riled up.
Not
the
me.
questions that are being asked and the way he's laughing at me over here. Come on. It's made to make me look like a bad guy, and it's
you're making yourself look like a bad guy.
Yeah, but it's made it.
Mr. Schultz, you're making yourself look like a bad guy.
I said I have a picture. You said I don't want to see it.
Just a second,
because I've got a video that shows him aggressive. Aggressive.
Just a second.
You don't want to see that either.
I would love to see a video of him choking you.
I have it.
You have it?
No, I don't have a video of him choking me. My DVR was new.
Just stop it. I'm finishing my ruling. Kevin, tell him that we're quiet now that I'm ruling.
She's getting ready to do her ruling now.
Vudi is countersuing his neighbor, Don Schultz, for an assault and towing charges. Don claims he was the one assaulted by Varlin.
Now, you paid for the glasses because you broke the glasses. Now, he filed a false restraining order against you. I'm dismissing that. An assault, I am granting you a judgment on the assault. How much were your attorney's fees?
$2,500.
Did you seek medical attention for the punch?
No, I didn't. But actually, up to this right now, my nose is still hurting, to be honest.
I want you to tell me about the illegal tow. Do you have any proof that the plaintiff caused your mother's car to be illegally towed, and when did this happen?
Yes. Actually, he admits he did it.
In what year?
Oh, June 10th of this year.
Of this year?
Just now, yeah.
Oh, I'd like to see the text. Unless, Mr. Schultz, did at any time you cause his mother's car to be towed?
Yes, ma'am.
On what date?
June 10th.
Why?
Because he blocked the driveway with his mother's car. I couldn't get out. Had a doctor's appointment, couldn't get to it. So I called the parking enforcement.
Okay. So at what time of the day did his mother's car block the driveway?
It was around noon.
Do you remember that date, sir?
Yes. Well, it was parked from the night before.
Okay.
He called the cops twice that day.
Okay.
Which is here.
I'm just going to ask you a question. The tow company would not have towed the car unless the car was blocking his car.
I have pictures of from the tow company.
I'd like to see it, please.
It was, and the only reason he said
No,
he
don't tell me what they said.
No, he forced them to do it.
No. Did you understand what I just said?
Yes.
I said, don't tell me what they said to you.
Oh, okay.
If this is a picture that the tow company took?
No, the parking enforcement.
Is this your mother's car?
No, the one that's right there. That's one he's saying was blocking the driveway, which is behind the wall, if you see.
Mr. Schultz, I'm going to show this to you.
I have a picture
This
also.
is, yeah, I'd like to see that. Could you get Mr. Schultz's picture?
Both of those.
I see it's from a different angle. This is my question to you, sir. I see where the cut is in the driveway. So when you said he was blocking your car, it's this wall to his car, and I see that the defendant's car is probably about 2 feet over the cut in the street. But there looks like more than sufficient room to back out of a driveway.
Okay.
5 feet.
Shh, shh. I didn't need any help. Does it look like I need help?
No.
It looks to a lay person that there's enough room here to back out this car.
Okay. My car's on the other side. That's his car straight ahead. I have to turn at an angle to get my car out.
Okay, so his car.
My car's to the right.
This is his mother's car.
Right.
So is what you're telling me his car was blocking your car so you couldn't pull out?
No, my car's on the right of his car.
So you could get out to here?
Possibly, yes.
Not possibly. You could get out to here. So he wasn't blocking you. Your problem was with his mother's car, who was 2 to 3 feet in. And what I'm saying to you is, based on your picture that you gave me,
right?
Based on your picture that you gave me, you could have negotiated yourself out of your garage and exited and made your doctor's appointment.
No, I could not.
Well, a moment ago you said possibly.
Well,
a moment ago you said possibly.
The parking enforcement thought it was
just a second.
Overparked, so they gave
well,
me...
but that's just nasty. You see, if you could have gotten out, only a nasty person calls parking enforcement to have a tow, to have a neighbor's car towed. If you could have gotten out.
Yes, ma'am.
If you could have gotten out.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm done.
You are done.
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $5,000. Your claim is dismissed. We're done here.
Court adjourned.
Oh, I love Miss Judge Judy. He saw all the lies.
Well, to make me look like the bad guy. I've been there 42 years, and I'm obviously the old grouchy neighbor.
From beginning till the end, everything he caught him, I didn't have to prove anything because luckily she's a smart judge and caught him in all his lies.
I think she can do anything he wants, and that's just not the case.
Well, as you saw, it got violent with the judge also, with him and the judge. And judge...
Because the defendant choked me.
Quiet him down 3 times.
And I had to punch him to get him off me.
Of course not. That's why I asked the judge to show the pictures because he lied. There's 2 marks here. He put the marks on himself before the cops came.
Well, there's no charges filed because he had broken glasses and a mark on his face, and I had a mark on my neck. So we both would have gone to jail and I didn't want to go to jail. So neither one of us pressed charges.
Because he's made a very insanable living situation for my parents, for myself, and our family, and he's just not doing what a neighbor is supposed to do.
That plaintiff had quite the temper.
He did. That's just a prime example of if you have a short fuse and if you come to court, it's absolutely the worst possible strategy not to chill out, not to ensure that you display that kind of a temper and that agitation to the person who's going to be trying your case. It's a good lesson for anybody that goes to court. The sad thing about this case is that these people are going to be neighbors. Plaintiff is definitely not moving because you're not going to move out of a rent-controlled apartment like he enjoys. The defendant, I'm sure, is hesitant to move his mother. How are these two people going to coexist? It's just so stressful to have to live that way, and life is stressful enough. You know, with living that way, it was sad. I thought I could be a peacemaker. Unfortunately, I could not.
Can't save them all.
His former girlfriend, Eva Walden, for a loan and the cost of food.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 1030, Jones versus Walden.
Thank you, Kevin. Mr. Jones, the case is relatively simple. You claim that you made a loan to Miss Walden, yes, somebody that you met, according to you, on a dating app.
Yes, ma'am.
And she didn't pay you back.
No, ma'am.
That's what the case is about. I have a few questions for you. What kind of work do you do?
Graphic design company.
Where is it located?
My business is located in Florida and Georgia.
Does it have a business address in Florida? Or is that your home address?
Yes, the home address.
So you have a business in Florida that you work out of your home.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have the same business in Georgia where you work out of your home.
Yes, ma'am.
How many employees do you have in Florida? It's not an answer. How many employees do you have in Florida?
2.
Who? You and who else?
You and my mom is...
You and your mother?
Yeah, she helps me.
So the 2 employees that you have in Florida are you and your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many employees do you have in Georgia?
Just me.
And what do you do for a living?
I work at a call center, working from home.
How long have you been working for this company?
For over a year, and I recently just switched to part-time.
In December of 2020, were you working for the same company?
Yes.
Full-time or part-time?
Full-time, but I'm no longer working with them anymore.
Well, you said you were working with them for a year.
Yeah.
When did you stop working for them?
I stopped working with them after we had the PTO dispute. I didn't get my PTO approved when I went to Miami for my surgery.
Let's not use letters. PTO is what?
For paid time off.
So you were working for them for a year. This is what this is about. You met on a dating app. You mentioned to her, according to your complaint, that you were going to Miami on a vacation.
Well, yeah, it came about, but I didn't just come out and mention it. As we was dating, she was like, she had a secret for me that she had something that she was going through, and then it all led to us being in Miami. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just reading from your complaint, sir. Your complaint says, I met Eve after a couple of weeks of dating. I mentioned to Eva that I had planned a trip to Miami for my birthday.
Absolutely.
Eva was getting a tummy tuck surgery in Miami that same week, so I volunteered to help take care of her.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Absolutely.
Great. And you did go to Miami and you did have this tummy tuck surgery.
Yeah.
I gather from what you just told me that you had put into a job that you had had for about a year, paid time off.
Yes.
And you asked for paid time off because you were having this elective surgery.
Yes, 2 months before.
You put in for this time off in October or November, for this time off because you were going for this elective surgery.
Yes.
During COVID.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And you were going there to celebrate your birthday.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So far, we're terrific. So your boss turned down paying you for paid time off when you were going for your surgery.
Yes.
Yes. That's what you said.
Yes.
So the two of you discussed that you weren't going to have money for some bills, that you had your rent, et cetera. That is according to your complaint. And according to what I read here from you, the defendant said that once she was turned down for the paid time off, she was going to apply for disability and unemployment.
Yeah,
That's what you wrote.
Yeah.
Is that what she told you?
Yes.
Okay. And the nature of her disability was what?
I don't, you know. I
Okay,
don't know.
no, you don't know. What was the nature of the disability?
Because I was recovering. So when I spoke with my boss 2 months prior, she had told me.
You can't tell me what your boss told you.
Okay, well.
You can't tell me what your boss told you.
Well, verbally, she had approved the PTO, so I never looked for it again.
That's also telling me what she told you. You're not following me.
Okay.
Okay.
So when I got back from the surgery, when I got my direct deposit, my PTO wasn't in there. So it was an issue.
Your pay wasn't in there because you went for voluntary surgery for a tummy tuck in Miami.
Yeah, but I had PTO that I had saved up, like hours to use.
So you had saved up those hours?
Yeah.
Okay, so they were hours you worked that you hadn't used?
Yes.
So far, so good. So far, I'm with you. Did you sue your boss for not paying you for those hours?
I didn't sue them. I took it up to corporate, and they told me that they couldn't do anything about it. That's when I decided to leave the company. So at that time, I was stressed out because I couldn't pay my rent.
Just a second. So you quit?
Yes.
And you couldn't pay your rent. That's what this lawsuit is about, because you paid her rent, $928?
Yes.
920.
$920.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what the law is. It used to be if you quit your job, you didn't get unemployment, but that's not true anymore, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, but I didn't get approved for the unemployment.
You didn't?
No.
So you didn't get any money?
No. That's when he
Just a second. And you still haven't received any money from unemployment?
No.
You don't get any now?
No.
And you're working part-time now?
Yes. And I also am a musician, so I do that as well.
Okay. And you gave her the $920 to pay her rent?
Absolutely. Not right off the bat.
I don't care right off the bat. This is not an audition. You gave her the $920.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. And the $920, according to her, you gave her from a small business administration loan that you had gotten from the government as a result of COVID.
Yes. What?
Yes.
Well,
that would be a yes. That's what she says.
Absolutely, but there's more details, you know.
Well, there's no more details. I just asked you about your employees, and you said your employees are you.
And my mom.
And your mom.
Yeah.
But she doesn't work with you in Georgia. That you work there by yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure it all out.
I'm an entrepreneur. She's just trying to help me flourish.
Yeah. She tries to help you flourish.
Yeah.
She tries to help you flourish, and so does the government try to help you flourish. So did you get? I just want to absorb it all. So you applied for a small business loan that was designed for people who had real businesses with real employees. Just a second. With real employees who rely on that money so that you could pay your employees during COVID. That's what that was about. Am I not correct?
That's exactly what I did.
That you paid yourself.
And my mom.
Paid, just a second. You paid yourself.
Yes.
Says former girlfriend Eva Walden refuses to pay back a loan and the cost of food from her football party.
Okay. You had to pay yourself.
Absolutely.
Well, there's a difference between unemployment and getting a small business loan. So what I want to know is...
Well, it wasn't a loan. It wasn't a loan.
Wasn't a loan?
It wasn't a loan. It was they called it a grant.
Okay, now, when you do a grant, you have to apply for the grant, right? They don't just come to your door, knock at your door and say, hey, you want a grant? You have to apply for it. I know.
No,
that's the process.
I know you know. That would be nice if they did.
That's the process. So you did apply for the loan.
Absolutely.
Okay. And when did you apply for the loan?
Right when COVID shut me down. I'm a graphic designer, entertainment business, so I'm just trying to gauge.
So you applied for it when?
March.
Okay. And when did it come through?
Took a while. A lot of oodles and noodles.
Just a second. Give me a month.
When it hit, I do remember this because I was happy. It was probably like July of last year.
July of 2020.
Keep in mind,
no, I don't have to keep anything in mind. Well, you just keep in mind answering my questions. In July, it came through.
Yes, ma'am.
Between March and July.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you support yourself?
Actually, I got some cool family members that contribute.
Just a second. So you relied on the kindness of friends.
Absolutely. No, family, not friends. Family.
It's a family. From the kindness of family.
Yes, ma'am.
Blanche Dubois. Rely on the kindness of friends.
Hey, that's...
And how much did our wonderful government send you in July of 2020? Amount, that's a number.
It was under 5,000.
What?
Under 5,000.
How much did they send you?
I don't want to lie to you. I don't know the exact number off back, so that would be unfair if I said that. It's just under 5,000, to be honest.
Did they send you a second payment after
No,
July
I didn't want a second
20?
payment because I didn't need it.
Just a second. So you got the payment in July of 2020, and in December of 2020 is when you paid for her rent? Or was that in January of 2020?
That was January. No, beginning of February, February 1st.
February 1st. And he offered.
2-1.
2-1.
And then you stopped dating.
Yeah.
And at some point, Miss Walden,
Yes.
you say, after the relationship was over, he started to press you for this $920.
Yes, after.
After.
And during, I had just told him the situation that I was in. I didn't get my PTO.
Oh, no, listen, we're past
but
that
he
already.
offered.
I'm already through the entire alphabet of government spending. I'm already through the whole thing. Your answer says that he came after you because he now has a new girlfriend. Or you have a new boyfriend.
Yeah, we just, different ways.
And
I'm still single.
then he said to you he was worried that the government would come after him for the return. Don't speak. For the return, that's what you say in your answer.
Yeah.
For the return of this money, because it wasn't used for the purpose that this was supposed to be used for, which was to pay your employees, like your strangers, like the people that run the cameras, right? And Kevin, Whitney,
Absolutely.
and Sarah,
Absolutely.
who were employees, and you were paying yourself and your mom. So you say he was worried that he wasn't gonna. That's what you say in your answer, correct?
Yes, that's what he told me on the phone.
That's what he told you. Tell me exactly what he told you.
So he asked me when could he get the money back. He said that he had took out a loan and that he needed to pay it back. So he needed the money that he gave me at the beginning of February for my rent. He needed it back. But it wasn't until after we went our separate ways that all of a sudden it wasn't a gift.
Now, just a second. He said he had to pay it back, or he was afraid he'd have to pay it back?
Yes, that he was afraid that he had to pay it back. He was basically, just trying to get me to give him the money back that he offered.
Just a second. Well, let me ask you a question. Are you back to work?
I do part-time nanny work while I work on my music.
Who supports you?
Me and my manager.
You and your manager support you.
You date your manager?
Just a second.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is right. You have to tell me, Mr. Jones. Now I've got everybody. I've got everybody's story in my head. Tell me how she asked you, or how it came about that she told you that she would give you back the money, the $920 for rent. Tell me how that came about.
Okay, first I need to address.
No, first address my question.
This is in your question.
No.
I wasn't afraid because
No. First address my question.
Okay.
I would be afraid if I were you.
Can you repeat that question for me, please?
I want you to tell me how it came about that you made this loan to her for her rent of $920.
Okay, after...
in Miami.
Yeah, after all that with the surgery, and I didn't know what PTO was, okay? I work for myself. I got
Just a second.
No more alphabets, I get it. But, so that's what she told me when I researched it, and I found out what it was, and I felt like that was unfair. I think anybody in here would think that was unfair, if that's what they was told. I was like, look, I'd be more than willing to help you, but I need this back. It's just been COVID. As you know, I got to pay my mom.
He never said that.
She don't get a lot of money, but she gets enough.
I don't know that at all, sir. I don't know that at all. Your mom's there right behind you, pushing you all the time. That's not an employee. Okay, let's keep moving on.
So she expressed to me the concern, but I felt bad for her.
Good, that's what I thought.
And I just said, as long as you're gonna pay it back, we good. Okay. And I didn't even ask for it right back. I said, once you start working, you pay it back.
So this was in February?
February.
This was in February. Now, in February, were you and the defendant sort of having an intimate relationship?
Before February.
Before February? Yeah. Yes. From December to February?
Yeah.
What happened after February?
She would only know. You get some money, you become a track star. I don't know.
I don't know. She stopped. She stopped communicating with you.
It got a little different, but I figured, like, me being the kind person I am,
No. It got a little different.
It got a little different. Her body's different right now. A whole lot of stuff gonna be different. So I was like, okay. It was cool till I was, she had a Super Bowl party. You can come get your bread. which is the money. I came. I
Never
brought
said
some
that.
other things because she wanted chicken wings, and I was like, okay, cool, you're gonna hit me back. When I got there was no money, so I decided, hey, I gotta do what I gotta do because I need that money back.
Your Honor, he came to the party and called ahead of time and said, would you like me to stop at the store to get
Just a second.
anything? He knows
I would
everybody,
never pay
everybody
for
contributed
Miss
to the
Walden,
party.
$45
Miss
for some
Walden,
wings.
I'm not even addressing the fact that he picked up fancy cupcakes and chicken wings. I didn't go to school for 10 years for that. I'm just addressing this 900.
Says former girlfriend Eva Walden refuses to pay back a loan and the cost of food from her football party.
Okay, do you have anything to show me with regard to his statement that he said, listen, I'm cool with that, I can give you the money now, but you have to pay it back?
He just started harassing me, saying I probably didn't use the money for the rent. So this is my lease. I just wanted to show proof.
Oh.
Just so you know.
Who do you live with now?
My mom. My mom's my landlord.
Okay, great. And what kind of a house does she have, or do you rent a room from her?
Yeah, we're in an apartment.
Did you rent a room in your mother's apartment in February?
Yes.
So the rent that he allegedly paid for you was to your mother?
Yeah.
Does your mother live in that apartment too?
Yes.
Your case is dismissed. You are, both of you, get out of here.
Court adjourned.
I don't win nothing. I loaned some money, I wanted it back.
He's just being petty because we don't talk anymore, and now he wants his money back, which he offered as a gift.
She looked at me with some batted eyes, looked into my heart, and clearly said, will you please help me?
It is what it is.
No more bucks for tucks.
Definitely a lesson learned.
Case number 1032, Bradley versus Kimball. Please come forward.
Tia Bradley is suing dog breeder Rico Kimball for half the value of a puppy litter.
Miss Bradley, you have a male Shih Tzu.
I do.
And that's your little boy.
Yes.
What's his name and how old is he?
King, he's 2 years old.
And Mr. Kimball, you have a female Shih Tzu.
Yes, ma'am.
How old is she?
She's 2 years old also.
So you all thought it would be a good idea to mate your two dogs,
Yes.
your female with King. King and Sparkle should have a family together. And according to you, Miss Bradley, you made arrangements with the defendant that you would split any litter that you had. That was a verbal agreement.
Yes.
Mr. Kimball, Sparkles had 5 puppies
Correct.
as a result of this mating.
Correct.
Miss Bradley, your lawsuit is for the value of half of that litter because you intend to sell them. Am I correct?
That is correct.
You don't plan on keeping the dogs. You plan on selling them. So you're looking for the value.
One. I was keeping one puppy.
You were keeping one for yourself?
Yes.
And have no intention of selling that puppy?
No, no.
Okay. And this is the one that you originally picked as pick of litter?
Right.
Can I take possession of that puppy for a minute? I need it. I haven't seen mine in a couple of weeks. Oh, you're holding a puppy like it's something that you don't do naturally. That is a very, very sweet puppy.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is your pick of litter, and you intend to keep her.
Right.
You intend to take good care of her.
Yes.
Okay. Let me tell you this. Mr. Kimball says that your arrangement was that you got pick of the litter, which is the routine, normal exchange for stud fee. I mean, your dog is not a champion dog. I assume your dog's not a champion dog. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're correct.
So yours is a pet.
Right.
And you're amateur at this breeding process, so there's no lineage that you're trying to protect. So the usual arrangement is pick of litter, not half the litter. That's why the person who goes through the time and the trouble and the feeding and the cleaning up and the care for it, they keep, if there are only 2 puppies, they keep one and you keep one. In this case, there were more than 2 or 3 and they all survived?
Yes, ma'am.
That means that you were, good parents. Okay. I'm almost afraid to give you back this puppy, to give to her. This is the puppy that you bring to her.
Yes,
this
ma'am.
was her puppy. This was her pick of litter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, good. Can you deal with this, Kevin?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, good. She is very cute.
Thank you.
Yes, you are, and very photogenic and very good and very quiet.
Right hand, left hand.
Right to her.
Give it to him. King's daughter.
No, why don't you take her? Why?
I don't deal with dogs.
You don't deal with dogs?
The dogs is for my kids.
You okay?
Just bring them back. Bring them back.
Peeing.
Oh,
She's probably scared.
Oh, that's why you're holding them so far away.
you got it, Judge?
Never done that before. She's probably scared or something.
She is scared. Okay. You wouldn't touch this dog. Why?
I don't deal with the dogs at all.
Well, who does?
My children.
How old are your children?
Well, he's 21. I have a 14 and a 16-year-old.
But you have nothing to do with the dog?
No.
So you plan on giving the dog to him?
That is their dog.
What do you mean it's their dog?
That's their dog. King is their dog.
Okay, fine. How would it be if instead of getting this puppy, I paid you for this puppy? And they could buy whatever dog they liked.
They like the Shih Tzu. That's why I had
No,
to get
then they could buy a Shih Tzu and they wouldn't have to take this one home. How would that be? Would you do that?
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
So you wouldn't have a problem if, since your mom's not going to have anything to do with this dog and doesn't even want to touch it, you wouldn't have a problem if you got the money for the dog and then you decided what you wanted to buy.
Yeah, we can do that.
He says that's fine. How much did you sell the other puppies for?
$300.
How much were you intending to sell the puppy?
$1,000.
Well, how about we give you $1,000 and you can let your kids decide? Would you be prepared, instead of taking the dog? Looks like he's got his hands full with one dog. Do you understand?
I get it, but we can handle 2 dogs. It's not a problem. That's not a problem. Because that would be the only dog we have. We didn't get the other dog.
So you want a dog from your
puppies
that he wants?
Right.
Okay. All right. Then give that dog to your mother.
I can sit him down, watch him on the week.
That's fine.
Sit him down.
And you can step up here.
King, sit.
And take this one. Perfect.
I got her.
Got her?
Yes.
Okay.
He's scared. She's scared.
King. Okay.
Chill.
Calm down.
Thank you.
Calm down. Uh-oh. No.
Oh, they're going to get along famously.
That's your dad. You doing that too?
I ain't never seen that.
No, he's good with her. You're good with her.
Hey, thanks.
But not crazy about his father.
Calm down. It's okay.
Okay, satisfied?
Yes, ma'am.
Got your puppy?
Yes.
Good, very good. We're done. Thank you.
Court adjourned.
I'm okay with her decision of giving us the one dog.
I thought it was a great decision. That was the plan all along, is to give her a puppy.
He's not a man of his word, and he needs the money more than me.
Once the puppies came, her story changed. So I was sticking with the original story.
My dog would be happy that he has his daughter.
I'm happy with it.
It seemed like the whole thing could have been avoided had they just had something in writing when they decided to breed their dogs together.
That's the takeaway. If you're dealing with somebody, whether family or not, and you have something of value that you're exchanging, put the terms in a written contract. It allows everybody to know where they're at. And I think that puppy, who probably was very frightened, had a little stage fright, will get to love him because he looked as if he really was a sweet, soft guy. Anyway, all worked out pretty okay.
Meter is suing her ex-fiancé, Eric Ellis, for the cost of 2 canceled trips and defamation of character.
Court come to order. All rise.
Thank you. Be seated.
Hello, Judge. Case number 1113, Van Meter versus Ellis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Van Meter, looks to me as if, from your complaint, you met the defendant online in March.
Correct.
March what?
14th.
When was the first time you saw him?
March 14th.
And when was the first time you bought him an expensive present?
April.
April what?
I'm not sure.
The expensive gift was a piece of jewelry. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, I bought him a ring.
Remember how much it cost?
I believe the appraisal value is $1,200, but I think I spent $700.
Expensive present for knowing somebody 4 weeks.
It was.
And then the next month you bought him another present.
I did.
What'd you buy him this time?
I bought him a gold bracelet.
How much was that?
I believe that was just under $900.
I want you to think. In March or April, what did he buy you?
He took me to Tiffany's after we'd been dating for 3 weeks and bought me a bracelet.
What kind of bracelet did he buy you?
A Tiffany bracelet. Had a little silver and blue Tiffany heart on it.
Remember how much it was?
I don't.
I have that, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I do have it.
I don't want to look for it right now. What else did he buy you in April or May?
In May, he bought me a birthday gift.
What?
A diamond ring.
She's referring to the engagement ring.
So you bought him a ring and a bracelet, and he brought you a bracelet from Tiffany's.
Yes.
And your birthday is when?
In June.
June what?
4th.
And when did he purchase this diamond ring?
I believe it was at the end of May.
I have the dates for those, Your Honor.
Can we get it?
Yeah.
Tell me when it was.
There was 2 transactions. One was on May 10th. The other one was on the 25th.
What happened on May 10th? Did you put a deposit down for the ring?
It was basically covering half of the cost, knowing that I would come back and pay for the other half of the ring.
So it was a deposit?
Correct.
And that was at the same jewelry store at the place where she works? She works in a building and there's a jewelry
Correct.
store
It's
there?
underneath her building, correct.
Okay. So they were familiar with you. That's where you had purchased his stuff.
The jeweler is Perry. He's a friend.
How much was the ring?
The ring was $11,500, Your Honor.
Where is it?
I don't know for sure. I'm assuming it's in the plaintiff's possession.
In any event, there came a point when the two of you were no longer a couple. And your claim is that he broke off the relationship quite quickly.
Yes.
He texted you, met you in a parking lot, and he returned all the things that you had at his home, including the 2 gifts that you had made to him, the ring and the bracelet.
I did not see them in the bag.
They are in the bag.
Just a second.
I know that he did give me some of my belongings back, but not all of my belongings.
made sure.
I'm asking you whether he gave you back the ring and the bracelet that you bought for him.
Yes, I did not see them in the bag.
Did you look?
Yes, I did look in the bag.
And they weren't there?
They were not in the bag.
They're not at my house.
Did you put them in the bag?
Yes, Your Honor. I put them actually in plastic bags, resealable, so they wouldn't fall out.
I believe him.
Okay.
That he returned those 2 things to you that you had purchased for him. Now, it is your claim that during that time, prior to the breakup, you had transferred to him $2,100 for your half of travel expenses for 2 trips that you were planning.
Correct.
In what month, day, and year did you transfer that $2,100?
I have it right here.
Your Honor, I have the date of the Tiffany's bracelet here.
Good. I'd like to see the just cost of the bracelet because he looked for it and he found it.
It's highlighted with Tiffany.
On June 16th of 2021, did she transfer $1,000 into your bank account?
Yes, she paid me by Venmo. I do have that $1,000.
Okay. And on June 11th, oh, I'm not dealing with this. That's the Gmail. That's NC and Jim and Amazon Music Upgrade,
It was for the
$400.
North Carolina
I don't
trip.
care.
It was
I don't.
$400
Listen
for
to
the
me.
North
I
Carolina
don't care. I don't get involved in people who are dating together, who are commingling money, unless I could actually pinpoint it. This says transfer date. This is Vegas baby, $1,000.
Right.
That I could see.
North
Period.
Carolina.
End of discussion. And the Tiffany bracelet was $300.
Correct.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to see if it was, it could be a Tiffany bracelet or it could be a trinket. In this case,
it was from Tiffany's.
In this case, it was from Tiffany's and it was a trinket.
Yep.
But the ring that you bought for $11,500 is not a trinket. Can I see the bill for that?
I have the actual.
Just a second.
Okay.
Don't say anything.
Sorry.
Just give it to me. Now, on what date did you finally say I had it, whatever it is? It's not working.
July 30th.
7:30. And on June 16th, she sent a deposit for a trip to Vegas. And it says that you paid Eric Ellis $1,000.
Correct.
I want to know, was that for a trip that was supposed to take place in the future?
Correct.
Okay.
We were supposed to take a vacation to Las Vegas for Labor Day weekend. And before Labor Day weekend, I broke it off.
Okay.
And I canceled all our plans, our trips. And
This was in June and you broke up on July 30th?
Correct.
So you still had the whole month of August and whatever, and every place that I know has a 30-day cancellation policy. So what was this $1,000 used for?
The $1,000, she sent me half of the cost for it for the trip.
Okay, that's all. That's an honest answer. Where is the ring he bought you?
Her ex-fiancé, Eric Ellis, owes for the cost of 2 canceled trips. Eric is countersuing for the cost of an engagement ring.
Now, where is the ring he bought you?
I'm not sure. I believe that it might be in Lake Minnetonka. I was really drunk. and I lost it.
Oh, that's really too bad. That's really too bad. Then you don't get your $1,000 back. Do you understand? Even though, period. Even though nothing. He spent $12,000 on a ring, which I guarantee you have. Guaranteed you have, that I would make you return to him. And if you're not going to return it to him, you're not getting anything. Do you understand that?
I understand.
Period. Now, you want to return the ring to him?
I don't have it.
Yeah, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Somebody who's a jewelry nut, like you are, who buys somebody the first minute that they see him, that they breathe on him a bracelet, the next breath a ring, knows exactly where this $12,000 ring is. Knows exactly where the $12,000 ring is. So the only thing that I have to address in my mind is, on what date did you give her this ring?
It was May 29th.
And how do you know that?
I have pictures. You wrote it down. We took pictures.
I'd like to see the pictures.
I'll have to pull it up from my phone. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's the day we celebrated my birthday with my sister.
I don't care. Do you understand?
My sister can witness to the fact that we chose May 28th to celebrate my birthday.
I don't care. I don't believe you don't have the ring. Do you understand?
I do understand what you're saying.
I don't believe that you don't have the ring. You want to show me what this $12,000 ring looked like?
I probably have that too, Your Honor.
Okay. This is from your friend, by the way, who you say is a friend of yours, Perry jeweler. He wrote on the receipt, engagement ring.
I'm not denying that it was a double gift of an engagement and birthday present. It was both.
Listen, just like I don't believe you don't know where the ring is, once you lie to me once, you don't get a chance to not do it again. Yeah, it was an engagement ring, and you should have given it back to him. If he doubled it as a birthday present, then he's very smart.
When he broke up with me, he said I could keep it, and I have his emails.
I did not say that, Your Honor.
Okay, if you have an email that says you can keep the ring, I'm more than happy to take a look at it. But your jeweler describes the ring as an engagement ring, and if it's an engagement ring, it goes back to him. Well, what I'm telling you, sir, is you are mistaken because you answered her. You did discuss with her returning the ring, and she says, I'm not returning the ring to you because you could say you never got it, so I guess I have to have an attorney take me to court. And that was August 4th. So you must have lost it after August 4th.
I did.
I did. And then he says, because he hadn't spoken to anybody yet, I know I don't have any legal rights to demand the ring back from you. Well, yes, you do.
I realize that, Your Honor.
Well,
that's
because yes, you do, because an engagement ring is a gift given in contemplation of marriage. And if the marriage doesn't take place, irrespective, in my legal world and in many jurisdictions, if the marriage doesn't take place, then the contract is broken. Now, you can get married and divorced and you get to keep the ring, but you don't get engaged and don't get married and get to keep the ring.
It was also a birthday gift.
Did you understand what I said?
Yes.
Also doesn't make any difference. If he did the twofer, that's terrific. That's smart for him. But it's an engagement ring. That's what your friend, the jeweler, said. Your claim is dismissed against him. And the maximum jurisdiction I have is $10,000. She says she lost the ring. I can't wring it out of her. She's lying. Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim for $10,000. We're finished.
Court is adjourned.
She wants money, and she's desperate to have money, and she tricked and manipulated me to do all of that.
I was being taken advantage of the day he broke up with me and said I could keep the ring.
The judge clearly pointed out that she gave me a far amount of gifts than I gave her. To try and hook me.
I really don't know. I got really drunk and I lost it in a lake, and that was after August 4th, after he said I could keep it.
She still has it. Of course she does.
He was out there dancing on TikTok, smiling how he ended another relationship after I was gutted and destroyed. And now he's back online dating.
None of it makes sense to me.
I've learned to honor my boundaries and that online dating should really be considered auditioning for future Datelines.
Be careful and take my time.
I'm going to get a do not contact order.
I know that there is different rules in jurisdictions about an engagement ring. I've been consistent for 26 years that I believe an engagement ring is given in contemplation of marriage, which is a contract. And irrespective of how that contract is breached, if the condition precedent to making it a gift is never met because the marriage doesn't take place, then whoever purchased the engagement ring gets it back. I think once the marriage takes place and the reason, or not the reason, that the marriage dissolves, the condition precedent to the gift has been met, the parties got married, you get to keep the ring. But in this case, she made an excuse that it was a birthday gift because she really knew in her head that if it was an engagement ring, she should have returned it. And I don't believe her. I do believe that he returned the bracelet and he returned the ring to her in the hope of getting the engagement ring back, because that's what the email said. You know, he expected to get that back. And she said, I'm not giving it to you back. You'll say you never got it. And then she told me she lost it. I don't believe her. The right thing happened.
It did.
Case number 1124, Stop versus Urbina. All parties, please step forward.
Christine Stop is suing her boyfriend's cousin, Antonio Urbina, for the cost of a vehicle she purchased from Antonio.
Miss Stop, this is your boyfriend. You've been together for about 12 years, according to your complaint, and this is your boyfriend's cousin. Years ago, because you don't indicate a year, you purchased a car from Mr. Urbina. In what year did you purchase the car from him?
2016.
What month in 2016?
January.
What kind of a car did you purchase?
2000 Mercedes.
What kind?
S430.
Got it? How much did you pay him for it?
$6,000.
You don't dispute that?
Yes, I do.
You dispute that?
Yeah.
What do you dispute about
What I remember was it was $5,000, and I want to say if she's asking.
No, not asking.
Or
I asked you a simple question.
Okay,
She
I'll give you a
bought the
simple
car
answer.
in January of 2016. Is that correct?
Yes.
You dispute the fact that she paid $6,000 for it.
I remember 5,000.
Do you have any proof that you paid $6,000?
I have a witness that saw me hand him the money, and I have proof that I was verifying balances with him for the payments he was making 3 years after the vehicle because he was incarcerated. He started making me payments after.
Claims her boyfriend's cousin, Antonio Urbina, is responsible for the cost of a car.
Okay. Value?
Based on a 90,000 mile estimate, it says between 3,000 and 4,800 for a private party exchange.
That's today. Those are based on today's numbers.
Yes.
But not back in 2016. That's why we usually do things promptly. So 6 is probably a reasonable number. Okay. This is your problem. According to you, you drove the car from January 2016 until you were involved in an accident. What month and year were you involved in an accident?
October of 2016. That's when I found out he
Just don't tell me found out.
Okay.
So you drove the car in January, February, March. Your accident was in October.
Correct. But there was 4 months that the car was not working.
I don't care.
Okay.
You drove the car. It was in your possession.
Yes.
January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. What did you have the accident?
I believe October 12th.
So let's say you drove the car for 9 months. Then you had an accident that was not your fault.
Correct.
According to you. And there was an insurance payout.
Correct.
And the insurance payout went to whom?
A dealership that still owned the vehicle.
Because there was a note on the car.
Yes, which...
Just a second. There was a note on the car.
Yes.
How much of a note?
5863.77.
Did you get any money at all from this accident?
For injuries.
How much did you get?
19,000.
What injuries did you suffer?
I had hurt my knee. I fractured a vertebrae. My neck was injured.
What kind of
my
work?
Wrist.
What kind of work did you do prior to the accident?
I've been disabled for the last 8 years.
What was the nature of your disability?
I got very sick and was hospitalized for 3 months and had to have a rib resection and part of my lung removed and had to get work done on my back.
What was wrong with your back?
I have osteoarthritis and I have degenerative disc disease and spinal stenosis, and I've had an implant put in my spine now and everything.
Okay. After this accident, were you hospitalized on October 12th? That's a yes or a no?
We were brought to the ER and then released. I'm sorry.
So the answer was you were not hospitalized?
No.
Were you hospitalized October 13th?
No.
14th?
No.
15th?
No.
16th?
No.
Okay. So whatever injuries that you suffered from that car accident were not sufficient to be hospitalized, and you got $19,000 for the injuries.
Yes.
Now, you drove the car for 9 months and you went to jail. And then you started making payments to her
Yes.
towards this money that she put in the car. because there was still a note on the car that was absorbed. And you drove the car. You had the car in your possession for 9 months, which you don't get for free.
Yes, but I also paid their tickets when I registered the vehicle, $650.
I'm actually not interested in that.
Okay.
This claim is 5 years old. Ordinarily, I would say goodbye to you all. But I'm going to be a nice person and resolve it. Because what you're asking for is, of the $6,000, he paid you back more than half, right? So you say there's a balance of $2,700, $2,750.
Yes.
What I don't see is you taking into consideration the 9 months that you drove the car. Even if you paid minimally $300 a month for a rental, 9 times 3 is 27. I mean, that means that you got to drive a car for nothing, you got the full value of the car, and then you got $19,000 for being in an accident. That sounds to me unreasonable. That sounds to me unreasonable.
But I couldn't drive it the whole time.
I don't care.
Okay.
That's why you bring an action promptly. Do you understand?
Right.
You understand? I don't know whether you couldn't drive the car because the car was sick or because you were sick. I don't know. All I know is you can't rent a Mercedes to drive around a Mercedes for less than $300 a month. And you drove the car for 9 months. You had it in your possession. That's $2,700. That means he doesn't owe you anything. He's finished. On this car deal so far, you made $3,000 on the car, a little bit more, and $19,000 for an accident for which you were not hospitalized. I think, Ms. Stapp, we're done. Goodbye.
Paid over $4,000 to her.
Just a second. You don't have a counterclaim. Okay. And if you paid over $4,000, you're a really nice guy.
Appreciate
okay?
that.
What she's not factoring in is she drove a car on somebody's dime for 9 months.
Exactly.
Okay, we're done here.
Court is adjourned.
You know, it sounds pretty accurate to me.
I don't think it was fair. You know, I paid off all their tickets and
I thought I did good by even paying what I paid, so.
fees for them and let them, you know, basically sell me. They sold me a car that they told me they owned that they didn't.
I don't know, she had this conspiracy theory about, like, me and my cousin, like, we're in cahoots to, like, get this money from her or something. Like, I really don't know, to be honest.
Oh, no, he's just throwing stones. They did this. They intentionally sold me a car they didn't own. You know, and they started it, so.
Yeah, it's really just her. I don't know why she has to put this strain on us.
Yeah, I will not be loaning cousins money or buying anything from cousins ever again.
I think that the plaintiff made out pretty well in that case. I mean, I'm certain that the accident was unpleasant, but it wasn't unpleasant enough to require any hospitalization. And she got $19,000 for pain and suffering and injury from an insurance company because she was probably hit in the rear. This guy paid her, he says $4,000. She says a little bit less because he felt as if it was the right thing to do. But now she's got $23,000 from what he gave her and this hit in the rear that she got $19,000 for. And then she drove around in a Mercedes that she purchased for 9 months for free. I just thought that that was sort of unconscionable for not adding in that period of time that she had full use of the car. And it's also buttresses what we talk about all the time, which is you want to bring a case, bring it timely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a reason that you're not supposed to wait 5 years before you bring a claim.
I agree.
Pamela Petrie is suing her former neighbors, Anthony Opalencia and Katie Molnix, for vet bills and emotional distress resulting from a dogfight.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 1172, Petrick versus Opalencia Munix.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Petrie, this is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
What's his first name?
Zion.
Zion's 12?
Yes.
And you got him a puppy?
Correct.
When?
May of 2019.
What kind?
I'm not quite sure.
Zion, would you stand up? Because even your mom wasn't a witness to this dog incident. Zion, what kind of dog did your mom buy you?
He's a Frenchie and then, I believe, a Terrier Falcon.
Do you have a picture of it?
Yes.
May I see it, please? When you say a Frenchie, you mean a French bulldog?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
And how much does he weigh? Do you know?
Right now, he currently weighs 12 pounds.
An incident happened on the 15th of April.
Yes.
You weren't present during that incident.
No, Your Honor.
Would you change places with Zion? I want him to be right in the middle. Zion, you were out walking your dog. Dog's name is?
Tony.
You were walking him on a leash.
Yes.
About what time of day?
Like afternoonish.
Okay. Now, you're walking Tony, and he was on a leash. And what happened next?
Me and my friend, we were walking, going onto the trail, and then...
Okay, so you were with a friend?
Yes.
Explain to me where the trail is.
It's like if you go from my house directly down from the lion fountain, and then you take a left, then that's how we were going onto the trail.
Where did the defendants live?
They
you have the pictures?
I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see them so I can get some idea of what you're talking about.
So you can, Your Honor, so you can get a full visual. Zion was walking this way.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. You can't tell me where he was
okay,
walking.
I'm
You
sorry.
weren't there.
Yes.
Just hand me the photographs. Thank you. Go. Zion, is this the complex where you live?
No.
Is this the complex where the defendants live?
Yes.
You live on the first floor or the second floor?
Second.
Second floor.
We did, yeah.
Okay. And this is the trail where you were going to walk with Tony. Don't shake your head. You weren't there. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Otherwise, you could sit. As a matter of fact, it's better. Sit down. Zion, this is where you were going to walk with Tony?
Yes.
Did you have to pass the defendant's house in order to get to the trail?
Yes.
And your dog was on the leash?
Yes.
Tell me what happened as you passed their house.
So as I passed, like me and my friend were going on a trail, and then from behind us, the pit bull, it came running at my dog, and before I could really react, he had a hold of his neck, and like he was just like shaking him, and then I was yelling at him to stop, like I was in shock, and then by the time he stopped with his neck, he immediately moved like by his thigh, and then he started gripping it, and then we were all yelling at him to stop, and then by that time...
When you say you were all, so I have you and your friend.
Yes.
Were either of these two people there?
Her.
You?
Yes, Your Honor.
She came after her dog?
Yes, she was there.
When their pit bull grabbed onto your dog, was she there?
Yes.
Was the pit bull on a leash?
No.
Was your dog injured?
Yes.
How did the pit bull finally let go of your dog?
A man was walking down the trail. He parked his dog. He had to punch the dog a few times, and then the dog finally loosened its grip.
He punched the pit bull?
Yes.
Did you know who the man was?
I think my mom got in contact with him.
Now you can stand up. Did you find out who the man was?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you speak with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
How did you find his name?
There's a group called Neighborhood Group on social media for our community, and I had asked for the gentleman who stepped in and helped my son if you could please reach out to me. And he announced himself and who he was, and so we got together at that time.
Got it. Now, sit down. You weren't home at the time of this alleged attack.
No, ma'am.
Who was this?
It's my girlfriend, Katie.
Your girlfriend was home with your pit bull.
Yes, ma'am.
And at the time I'm reading these papers, you were under house arrest.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
And you were wearing an ankle bracelet.
Yes, I was.
And you live on the second floor.
Yes, I do.
So you let the pit bull out to relieve itself because you couldn't go out because you had an ankle bracelet on because you were under house arrest.
Yes, Your Honor.
The pit bull walked down the stairs by itself.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your apartment?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were standing here when the dog ran out, was unleashed. By the time you got to where the dog had Zion's dog, tell me what you did to get the dog off Zion's dog.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, when I...
Look at me.
When I
Don't look there. Okay. And make sure you know I know everything.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
So now you're on the second floor. You've got an ankle bracelet. You're not allowed to leave the house, so you let the pit bull out by himself. He runs and attacks his dog. Do you either hear or see?
Neither, Your Honor. I was out there before the attack even happened. Now look
at me.
I let him know that that my dog was out there loose, and I was going to get I was trying to get him.
No, just listen to me. Just because you say it fast doesn't mean I miss it. You're on the porch.
Yes.
You let your dog out.
Yes, Your Honor.
let's take it from there, step by step.
So I know.
Don't look over there.
I saw him walking his dog, and I went to let him know that my dog was out there, and I was
Just
already
a
going to
second.
get him.
You saw him walking his dog.
Yes.
With a friend.
Yes, Your Honor.
On a leash.
Yes, Your Honor.
And when you say you let him know, what did you do? Listen, what did you do? Don't cross your arms. What did you do or say to let him know?
I said, hey, my dog's out here loose right now. I'm going to get him.
No, let's go slow.
Mercy.
Hey, my dog's out loose out here.
And I'm trying to go get him.
And you're going to?
Get him.
And when you say that, you're on the porch.
No, I'm not on the porch at this point. I'm going to get my dog. Is what I'm doing.
Well, why would you let the dog out if you were going to get the dog?
I didn't think I would have to go get the dog. Like, he comes back normally. So I didn't think I was going to have to go get him.
So it is your routine to let the dog out?
Not only when on the bracelet.
Just a second.
Only when I was on the bracelet.
In what month were you placed on the bracelet?
May?
Don't look at him. May what?
I don't know the exact date, Your Honor.
You don't know the date that somebody put an ankle bracelet on you? How old are you?
34.
How many times have you had an ankle bracelet on?
One.
Well, then I would know the exact date when somebody came and slapped an ankle bracelet on me.
I remember the date I got it off, but I
No, on.
I know. I don't remember the exact date that I got it on.
What date did she get the ankle bracelet on?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that even has to do with anything.
You're not sure?
No.
You're not sure? I'm going to tell you what's sure. What sure is that she says because she was wearing an ankle bracelet, that's the reason she let the pit bull out alone.
Correct.
Well, then it becomes important because she said he usually comes back. That means she's let the pit bull out alone before. Now do you understand?
3. Claims her former neighbors, Anthony Opulencia and Katie Molnix, owe for vet bills after their pit bull attacked her son's dog. Anthony is countersuing for threats and harassment.
Okay, what county do you live in what state?
King County, Seattle, Washington.
Whose pit bull is it?
Mine.
How long have you had it?
About 2 years now.
How long has she been your girlfriend?
About 3 years now.
What kind of work do you do?
I was a maintenance supervisor.
In the complex where you live?
Not that complex, but another property.
Did you get fired?
Yes.
Is that because you had a pit bull?
No.
Why?
Why? Because of her constant harassment, calling corporate.
Are you allowed to have a pit bull?
Yes.
Are you?
I was, yeah.
Let's see. King County.
I'm looking into
Your Honor.
Just a second.
So I know January 1st of 2020, the state of Washington undid their initial ban on pit bulls outright. So pit bulls were allowed in the state of Washington and counties were not allowed to ban them outright after January 1st of 2020. But I'm on the Kings County government website to see if there's anything specific.
So when you got the dog, because you said you've had the dog for 2 years, pit bulls were banned in your state. You know how much it takes to ban a dog, to get that through a legislature, to ban a dog? And I don't know why Washington undid the ban, but they did in January. But when you got the dog was a banned dog. And I don't know why you think, because the girlfriend knows she let the dog out. She says, I let the dog out, and I've done it before. Usually comes back. I told him, hey, my dog's out loose. And why you would think that an unmonitored dog, you as the owner, are not responsible for all their vet bills is mind-boggling to me.
I never once said I wasn't responsible for the vet bill.
Oh, well then what are we doing here? You said in your answer, we agreed to split them 50-50 and I paid my half. Why would they split the vet bills with you 50-50 if it's all your fault? Well is not an answer, sir. Well is not an answer. If she's lazy and instead of walking the dog on a leash, a dog that can cause significant damage because the dog might have just as well attacked the child as the dog.
Dog would never attack a child.
Would only attack another dog. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
I have
You
pictures
want me
of
to show you?
my
do you
dog
want
around other dogs, around kids.
Well, let me tell you.
It was the actions of that little dog.
I want to tell you this.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I have drawers full of letters from grandparents and parents who say, my pit bull is wonderful, I thought. And then one day, it turned. And when a dog that weighs 10 pounds or 12 pounds turns on you and snaps at you, I have a dog that weighs 4 pounds. If I annoy her and she's sleeping and I wake her up and she nips me, which she hasn't done, smart, I would get hurt a little bit. But when a pit bull attacks somebody, they can kill them. And if you choose to have a dog like that and you're a grown man, that would be on you. And if girlfriend over here decides that that's okay, she's a grown woman. But when you subject children to your dog, you're making them take a risk that they didn't ask for. Why would you subject a child, yours or anybody else's, from an animal that's capable of causing serious physical injury? Read the papers. There's a list of dogs in most states that insurance companies won't even insure your house if you have a particular breed of dog. Why do you think they do that? They're in business to make money. And all you pit bull owners out there, I've heard the hate mail. Don't bother. I don't read it.
There's a lot of bad owners out there.
I'm sure that there are terrific pit bull pets that are wonderful. They have the capacity to kill you. They have been known to kill you. I never knew anybody that got killed by a Shih Tzu or a Yorkie or a Chihuahua. Never. But if you go on Google and find out how many deaths and serious physical injuries were caused in the last year by pit bulls, I tell you what we're going to do. Sarah's going to look at it. I've never looked at the number. Don't speak. What you're supposed to do is put a leash on your dog and get your behind out of the house and walk the dog. Because there's no question in my mind that you and boyfriend went out downstairs to the grass area because you actually went out of the house. They didn't come and arrest you for leaving the house, did they, when you ran outside after your dog? No, they didn't arrest you. Oh, right. So you could just as easily have taken the dog out to one of these grass areas that's right near your house to relieve itself. But you were too lazy. Do we have a number?
Well, it looks like out of 430 fatal dog attacks, 185 were caused by pit bulls in the state of Washington.
My God. Not even half.
Just.
You
know how many hundreds of breeds of dogs there are, you idiot? Do you know how many hundreds of breeds of dogs there are? So practically 50% of the deaths in the state where you live from dog attacks were pit bulls. I want you to look and see how many dog deaths in the state of Washington were caused by Chihuahuas in the same period. And your counterclaim for harassment is dependent upon this number. Because if this number is more than 0, I will actually entertain your counterclaim for harassment. Otherwise, I'm tossing it.
Well,
that's
between
crazy.
2005 and 2018 in the entire United States, 2.
From a Chihuahua.
Appreciate that.
For the entire United States.
I'll take it.
From 2005, from 2005, you'll take what?
It's more than 0, what you just said.
Oh, then I'm going to hear your counterclaim. Do you understand? 200 people died in your state as a result of pit bull attacks.
And that's a sad situation.
Yeah, just a second. So you have to be a moron to allow a dog like that around children. You have to be a moron.
I'm not a moron.
Oh, absolutely.
Is accusing her former neighbors, Anthony Opulencia and Katie Molnix, of refusing to pay vet bills after their pit bull attacked her son's dog. Anthony says Pamela threatened to shoot their pit bull.
Now, can I see your vet bills, please? Now you can stand up. What's the balance that he owes on the vet bills?
Currently, right now, he paid a total of $780 with a remaining balance of $289.
Why did you stop making the payments?
Because I got fired because of her.
Oh, good. $289. Okay. Now you have a counterclaim for terroristic threats, loss of employment, moving expenses, and emotional distress.
Yes, ma'am.
Whose? Other than mine. Other
Mine
than
and
mine.
hers.
You have to understand something. She's a wrongdoer.
Who's a wrongdoer?
She is.
You don't know that.
She allowed a dog off leash because she was lazy, and she let the dog go out, and the dog attacked another dog. And you recognized your fault because you paid the vet bills to your credit. You paid the vet bills until you said you got fired. The suggestion is you got fired because of her.
It's not a suggestion.
So, just a second. You had a pit bull in the house. She reported it to whomever. Animal control, the management company that you worked at.
Yes, ma'am.
She reported it, which is her right. Other than that, what are you complaining about? It's her right to report that because you maintained a dog in your house and your girlfriend let the dog roam free, not once, but according to her, regularly, that she felt that that created a threat to everybody in the neighborhood. The truth is, so do I. So if you have something to show me about terroristic threats that she did, I'll be more than happy to see that.
I wasn't there when it happened. She was, so.
Okay. Terroristic threats.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about the terroristic threats.
After the incident happened, and she came over to talk to me about it. She was just completely like freaking out, and I was trying to calm her down, but she's telling me that she brought her gun over with her to shoot my dog in the head, and like
she was going to shoot your dog.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see a gun?
I did not see a gun.
Okay. Next. What's next?
What's next is that she continued to call me, separating me from the work I needed to do almost daily. At least every other day, she's texting me, calling me. What are you gonna do about this bill? Where's my money at? I stopped answering her, and she starts calling corporate and calling my management company and harassing multiple people on the board there. So they're calling me, telling me to try to smooth the situation out, do what you can to. So okay, I'll do that. But even though I did, she still kept calling. Still, it wasn't good enough for her.
Your counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of the remainder of the vet bill, which is $289. We're finished here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
I'm irate right now.
I just want to say I've been watching Judge Judy for a long time, and I knew that coming here that my case would be heard and justice would be prevailed. Thank you, Judge Judy.
She called the animal control, I think it was like a few days later or a week later or something.
Our dog, he's an all-white dog, so he was just full of blood.
The dog wasn't there by then.
We'd
already gotten rid of him.
You should have your dog on the leash. There's not much to really say about it.
It was scary. I mean, like, it's a horrible thing.
We don't want them hurting other people, nor do we want our dogs being hurt, vice versa. Just please leash your dog up.
You know, I might have to adjust that number a little bit. As I kept looking for the fatalities caused by dogs, there's so many different accounts and different numbers. But one consistent thing from all of the accounts is that pit bulls did account for a majority of fatalities from dog bites and dog interactions.
It's been my experience here that those people who have dangerous dogs, and there is a couple on that dangerous list, have to be really mindful of the fact that if an animal, and it is an animal, has the capacity to kill, it doesn't mean that it intentionally does that. I mean, if you're a homeowner and if you can't get homeowners insurance or renter's insurance if you have a particular breed of dog, I would say to myself, doink, there is a reason that insurance companies that are in the business of making money, they have done the math. They understand that eventually they're going to pay out on a claim. So they say, you know what? You want to have that dog? Either you're going to pay a double premium or we won't insure you. And I would say to myself, as a rational human being, there are over 200 breeds of dogs. Find another breed.
Yeah.
And I say that even though I regularly get this onslaught of vocal mail. So don't bother. Don't send it. I don't read it. That's my opinion. You're entitled to yours. Goodbye. Have a good day.
Tracy Karlovich is suing her former landlord, Matthew Sagarin, for hotel costs, moving expenses, and a security deposit.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge. Case number 1131, Karlovich versus Sagarin.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Sagarin, I'm going to start with you, sir. You decided to purchase a building, and my understanding from your answer is that the building had some sort of historical significance as a commercial building, but it was currently in a residential neighborhood.
Correct, Your Honor.
Where was it located?
In a small town called Medford, Minnesota.
And you live there?
I had previously owned a small farm near Medford. I currently live in the Twin Cities.
What prompted you to buy this building?
When I sold my farm, I had a lot of equipment. I had an excavator and a dump truck, and I needed a place to store it. So this is a 3/4 acre site. It's a large building, and my intention was that I would use part of it for storage and rent out the majority of it to someone who needed a blacksmith shop or a woodworker shop or,
It's an industrial building.
Correct.
Was it ever your intention, sir, to rehab the building for the purposes of asking for permits to use it as residences?
I had an idea, not a real plan. It was an exciting opportunity. Because of all the square footage and space involved, I put an ad on Craigslist saying, I have extra space. Are you a woodworker, an artist, an artisan?
Do you have a copy of that ad on?
Unfortunately, I couldn't find it. It was taken down because of the time.
So this is what the case is about. Ms. Karlovich, you're in some sort of a car business.
Correct.
And you were in that business in the same town?
No, actually, I'm coming from 45 minutes north of this town. So I'm moving the business.
Okay, what kind of place did you have in your old town?
A warehouse-style garage shop.
Now, when you lived in the prior place, did you have separate quarters for yourself to live in?
Yes.
And how much did you pay for the warehouse where you did your work?
$2,000 a month.
And how much did you pay for your apartment?
It was the same area, but it was separated. But it was the same rent.
So you lived in the same place where you worked?
Well, so it was separated off to living quarters and a shop area.
It was already set up that way when you bought it?
Yes.
Okay. Did it have a kitchen?
Yes.
Did it have a bathroom?
Yes.
Did it have closets in the bedroom?
Yes.
And that was $2,000 a month?
Correct.
When you saw the defendant's ad on Craigslist, how much was he asking for the property?
I don't believe there was a price.
Just a second. Do you recall whether there was a price?
Nothing mentioned.
Okay. So you called him or contacted him? Did you go and look at the space? It was only 45 minutes away. I assume that you did.
I did.
And you were satisfied with the space?
Well, I mean, there was a journey to begin, for sure.
Okay, but you were satisfied enough to rent the space?
Yes.
On what date did you rent the space?
So we began this agreement on February 1st.
When you rented the space, it was a warehouse?
Sure, yes.
Did it have a kitchen?
No.
Did it have a bedroom with closets?
No.
Did it have a bathroom?
No.
How much was he charging you for rent?
It was to be worked into a $13.50 a month.
Did you sign a lease?
Eventually, yes.
What date did you sign a lease?
Well, our verbal agreement?
No.
Okay.
Verbal agreements don't count.
May 1st.
May 1st. And when you saw the apartment in February, between February and May, was your property in the building?
Yes.
Starting when?
February 1st. But I did pay him a storage fee for it.
How much did you pay him as a storage fee?
$800 a month.
And where were you living when you paid him a storage fee?
So I was staying in hotels since February 1st.
And what happened on May 1st?
We signed an official lease.
May I see the lease?
Sure, absolutely.
Your Honor, if I may, it sounds as if this young lady is saying she paid monthly rent from February to May.
No, she said she paid a storage fee.
Okay, fair enough.
There was no lease, and she was living elsewhere. That's what she says.
We had made an agreement that...
No, this is your agreement. If this is a signed contract, who prepared this lease?
I did.
Where did you get it from?
I don't remember, I'm sorry.
You got it from the internet.
My recollection is that this was a lease that I'd used previously and then I amended it for this purpose.
Sir, I'm reading this lease. I'm sure you have a copy of it.
I don't have a copy.
Would you show this to Mr. Sagarin? Is that the lease?
Yes.
Okay. It says the term of the lease and the occupancy. The premises shall be used and occupied exclusively by the tenants and occupants above, except as follows. No part of the premises shall be used at any time of the term of this agreement by the tenant for the purpose of carrying on any business, profession, trade, of any kind or for any purpose other than a private dwelling. Kevin, show the defendant this. That's the first clause, sir.
Okay. Yep.
Because, sir, I read it out loud because your position in your defense to this action is she wasn't supposed to be living there. This was a non-residential building. It had no C of O. It was to be used for her business only, which she had stored from February to May, and that this clause is inaccurate.
Oh, I agree.
Okay, but this is your problem, sir. You prepared the lease.
Correct.
You signed it, and you're bound by it.
Yes.
Which is a problem for you, because if what you want to tell me is, well, it may say that, but we agreed that the premises wasn't fit for human habitation. It had no kitchen, it had no bathroom, it had none of the amenities, the basic amenities that one might expect to find in a dwelling. She knew that. She moved in that way, and therefore I'm not responsible for any of the things that she says I'm responsible for. Your problem is, sir, and I think you're a perfectly reasonable man, you created a document that is hurting you.
No, I understand that. I will say, she had mentioned right from our very first conversation that she may have intended to live there. And I said, I don't know what the upshot of that will be. I don't know the zoning. I don't know what the building department will. I said, I don't know.
Doesn't matter. You were renting.
That's on you.
Just no, it's not on her. It's on you. And I'm sympathetic to you, sir. But your contract that you created says to her that she can live there with her son as a dwelling. Now, when you moved in May, it had none of the amenities that you had had previously when you lived in a building that had a spare apartment with your son. That would be a fair statement. That's a yes or a no.
Yes.
And you moved in anyway.
We had verbal agreements.
You can't have a verbal agreement when you have a written contract. That's what he's bound by.
Okay.
My point is that you knew when you moved in there, it didn't have any of the amenities that you and your son needed to live. And you knew that since February.
They were promised.
When you moved in May, were they there?
No.
Did you, in May, start to pay the $13.50 a month?
Yeah.
Did you live there in May?
Well, I attempted to.
Just a second. Did you live there in May? Did your son live there in May?
No.
Where did he live?
With his father.
Did you live there in June?
Yes.
Did you pay the $13.50?
Yes.
Did you live there in July?
Yes.
Did you pay the $13.50?
Yes.
When did you finally leave?
October 1st.
So May, June, July, August, and September, for 5 months, you stayed in the same place and in the same condition as you saw it both in February and in May.
No, there were some upgrades.
Okay. What were the upgrades?
Well, the bathroom was roughed in.
Bathroom. What else?
That's it.
Where were you living out of?
An RV in the front yard.
Okay. So you had an RV, and the RV had a kitchen. Mm-hmm. Is not an answer.
I'm sorry. Yes.
And it had a place for you to sleep.
Yes.
And you had a place for your business.
No.
Well, what were you storing there?
Well, storing things for my business, but I couldn't run the business there.
You weren't allowed to run a business there.
Yes, according to that, I guess you're right.
According to this, you weren't permitted to run a business there.
Sure.
Okay.
B. Karlovich claims her former landlord, Matthew Sagarin, owes for hotel costs, moving expenses, and a security deposit after the building she rented was condemned by the city.
Now, you lived there on his property, in your RV, with your stuff stored in his building. Did your son ever move into the RV?
No, and the RV was bought because the inside was not livable yet. So I bought the RV for the sake of having somewhere to be while things were getting done inside the building.
And tell me what happened in May.
So I didn't have the RV in May. That came in July or so.
Well, where were you living in May and June?
So I attempted to live in Medford, but there was no running water or bathroom yet, so I was in hotels.
Okay. But when you signed this lease, certainly you knew that there was no kitchen, bathroom, closet, bedroom, and you signed this lease.
Yes.
I'm just talking about reality. He made a big mistake in this lease. And now I have to know whether I'm speaking to someone who was a victim of the defendant's fraud, or whether you were an eyes wide open business gal who understood exactly what the scoop was, because according to you, you had lived in a hotel from February until May. Isn't that what she said? She lived in a hotel from February to May?
Yes, between February and May.
So from February to May, before you signed this lease, you were living in a hotel. What's the name of the hotel?
The Motel 6.
And where is that located?
Well, I stayed in different ones, but I have receipts for all of them.
I don't need receipts from all of them. You were staying in the same Motel 6 between February and May?
I went to Florida and stayed in a Motel 6 where there was work.
What'd you do in Florida?
Well, because in February...
Not a because. What were you doing in Florida?
Working, because I couldn't
Just a
work.
second.
Oh, wow.
You were in Florida working. Who else lives in Florida?
Nobody.
Nobody that you know. But it's warm in Florida.
Right.
What kind of work were you doing in
The
Florida?
same kind of work I do here.
Which is?
I detail and recondition vehicles.
And where were you living there?
I just rented a place for $700 a month.
So you were paying storage space to him.
Mm-hmm.
How much was she paying in storage space?
We had agreed on $800 a month, and that was paid twice.
Okay, so between February and May, you paid $1,600 to store your stuff, because I believe him, and $700 a month for your apartment in Florida.
Correct.
Now, you came back in May. Is that when you came back to Medford?
Yes.
And is that when you bought the RV?
Yeah, June or so is when I...
Okay, so that's when you bought the RV. And you moved the RV onto his property.
Yeah.
And you lived there.
Yeah. In
Just a
Minnesota.
second.
Wow.
Just a second. You lived there.
Yeah.
On his property. What I'm saying to you is he was not smart in giving you this lease that called you and your son tenants of a particular address, except you were, in fact, living at that particular address in your RV. I mean, the RV wasn't parked on the street. It was parked on the property.
Right.
Okay, so you were, in fact, living there.
Yeah.
Great. That's all I want to know. Now we're going to get to what happened when, what month did she move out? October?
October 1st.
10-1. You want to tell me what happened on 10-1?
The building was condemned prior to that, and so...
Okay. The building itself was condemned, so you had to take out your stuff from the warehouse part of the building that had been stored there.
Yes.
When you were there from May until October, and your work is detailing cars, were you working?
Yes.
From when to when?
What do you mean?
You came back in May. Did you start working right away?
I work all year long.
Great. And were you using tools and equipment that had been stored?
Yes.
So let me understand this. So now I'm trying to figure out what your damages are. Was the building condemned, sir?
I'm not sure. I got a letter from the building inspector after a
May I see? Just a second. I'll see a copy of the building inspector's letter.
After a long series.
I didn't ask you anything. Okay, so he was advised the 11th of August that the building was condemned. When did he advise you that the building was condemned?
He didn't advise me. I advised him. He never responded to any of the notices.
How did you know that the building was condemned?
Because I was there. So they first gave us a notice saying we had a certain amount of days to bring it up to code.
No, just a second. So you knew before he knew that the building itself...
Well, I'm sure he got... They said they mailed it to him the same day, but he didn't respond to any of my inquiries.
So the building is condemned, not your RV.
Yes.
You were still living in the RV on the premises.
Right.
Did he ever evict you from the RV?
No.
So what you had to do is move your property that was stored or used for your business.
Right. In a 2-year contract of having...
Well, he can't help it if the building is condemned.
Well, he could have helped it. They gave him a notice of what he could do to the building to keep it up, but he didn't.
He didn't. So what did you do?
So now I had to move.
Well, you didn't have to move your RV.
I had to move my RV because there's a city ordinance that says you can only have it there for so many days.
Oh, I don't know. At the city ordinance, it says you
And
can
in
only
the
have an
state of
RV.
Minnesota, if it's condemned, the statute says you have to return at least a deposit within 5 days, so I can move.
No, just say, what I'm telling you was that you, in fact, chose to leave and chose to take your RV elsewhere Are you still living in an RV?
No, and I didn't choose to leave. The city made me leave.
I don't know about that. The city only talks about a building that's being condemned.
In the state of Minnesota, if I could tell you quickly.
No, you can't tell me.
Okay.
If what you're suggesting is in the state of Minnesota, you can only keep an RV on your property for so long, is that what you're telling me?
No, not at all, but...
Oh, well, that would be interesting. That's what you started to tell me before.
Verbal agreement is legal in the state of Minnesota. It is.
Should have stayed in Minnesota.
Okay.
Here, this case isn't worth $10,000.
Okay.
You knew exactly what you were getting.
No, I had
You knew
promises that were
you knew
supposed to be done.
exactly what you were getting.
I have verbiage and text messages showing what he promised and what didn't happen. I have all of the evidence of that, if you would like to see it, of him telling me that there would be this and this and this done so that I could run my business and live there. I have all of that evidence if you want to see it.
Oh, I would like to see anything that he wrote to you that says not to worry, by a date certain, you will be able to live in the building. I'd like to see it.
I have lots of it.
No, just...
I mean, just from the agreement on February 1st is him telling me that...
No. Just give it to me.
Tracy Karlovich has accused her former landlord, Matthew Sagarin, of renting her a building that was condemned by the city. Matthew says Tracy lived on his property and stopped paying rent for several months.
Okay, the last conversation you had with him, and this was after the city condemned the building. I leave clean in 30 days quietly for the $1,350 deposit returned to me in cash, plus a check written to me of $2,000 extra. I have to start over again, and I have a business. I think $2,000 on top of the deposit returned to me is getting off easy since we make a 2-year agreement. Now, did Ms. Karlovich give you a deposit?
Yes.
How much?
$1,350.
Did you return it to her?
I did not.
Why?
Because she paid the first month's rent of $1,350 and no rent of any kind for any month after that.
Okay, so she paid...
My feeling was, and I'm not a lawyer...
No, I don't want to know your feelings. Feelings don't count.
I did
Feelings,
return
you go
the
to
deposit
doctor. Just a
because
second.
she owed me for 5 months' rent.
Just a second.
5 months
Feelings,
rent.
don't speak to him. Feelings don't count. I deal with specifics. You didn't return her deposit. The reason you said you didn't return her deposit is that she moved in May and paid the first month's rent?
Correct.
Did she pay in June?
Yes.
Did not.
Yes. I'll come to you in a minute. Did she pay in July?
Did not.
August?
Did not.
September?
Did not.
I'd like to see
Nor
proof.
did she move out October 1st.
Just a second.
Yes, I did. What does that mean?
What? You don't have to bother taking this down. I'm not even hearing it. If they want to talk to each other, let them go to a counselor. I am not a counselor. I'm a judge. Show me proof that you paid him rent, $1,350 in June, July, August, and September. That's all I need. You run a business. You have a bank account.
Well, I don't write a check. He doesn't give me a receipt, so I don't have that. But I did pay in June and July. And August is when we got the first letter saying that they were going to condemn the building.
Just a second.
So that's when I didn't pay.
Okay, let us assume that that's true. I'm not sure if I believe you, but let us assume that that's true. I'm trying to see if you're entitled to your deposit back.
Sure.
You received a notice, according to you, in August that the building was condemned.
Well, not according to me.
Don't
it's here.
Speak!
Sure.
August. You received notice that the building was condemned. Was the RV there in August?
Yes.
Did you live there in August?
Yes.
Was
in
the
an RV in the front yard.
Don't speak.
Okay.
Just answer my
I just want
question.
to be done now, obviously. It's not really going my way, and
It's
you're
not. Well,
out
it's
of
not
hand
going
with
your way. It was going your way with
accusations and
regard.
the way you're talking to me.
Just a second. It was going your way. I said $1,350. Did you return her deposit? Which, as far as I'm concerned, you would have been entitled to because there was no counterclaim for any damage to the property. But his response is, I didn't return it, not claiming damage, but he said you stopped paying rent. And you clearly did stop paying rent for at least, according to you, 2 months. You used his premises and did not pay rent for 2 months.
He didn't do any of the things that he promised that he was going to do.
Okay. This is not a case of being a victim. You knew exactly what you were buying.
No, I didn't.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I made an agreement with somebody which is legal in our state.
Yes, I have the lease. The lease says that you are renting his property as a residence with no business. I'm holding him to that lease, and I'm holding you to that lease. I said to him, that was a huge mistake. I'm holding you to the same lease, which is you were a tenant, no business, tenant, resident only. And for the time that you lived at that address, you lived in an RV at his address. It's not a public street. You, in fact, lived someplace and had the benefit of being near your tools where you worked for the months that the lease provided for.
Wow.
So you have no case. It's dismissed. We're done. Thank you very much.
Court is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We had a verbal agreement starting in February, and
I think she was honest. She wanted to run a business and live there.
completely have lost my business, and I have nowhere to live now.
It was a really unfortunate situation.
Because they showed up. It doesn't even matter now.
It's not anything I feel good about.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, no question, it was a learning experience.
I think that case was a great demonstration of why non-lawyers should be very careful when they're drafting legal documents. And it seemed like he had been familiar with leases. I think he said he had sort of used a previous lease and amended it, but such a big clause to miss in the beginning can, as we just saw, ruin an entire case.
Yes, the terms of the lease were probably a lease in an apartment that he took at some point. I think when both parties relied on something that was not factual in the lease, that a court has to look at it and say, well, what damages did you suffer? The lease itself, as it was, I was holding him with his feet to the fire to that lease. I looked at it. I actually said to him, well, you wrote the lease, and a document is viewed most harshly in the law against the person who drafted the document. So he was in trouble until I pivoted to the plaintiff. And it was clear that she was thoroughly aware of what was going on. Even in the documents she prepared for me, she said, well, I want my security deposit back and $2,000. But she had actually used his premises. She used it to live.
And
I mean, the address is the same. If somebody was leaving mail, that's where they would leave mail. So she was getting mail there, she was living there, she was cooking there, she was sleeping there.
And she knew of the condition as well, so it wasn't a deceitful lease that was signed. She had been to the premises, she knew the state in which it was in, so.
Right, and she appeared to me to be a clever lady. She went down to Florida during the winter when it was cold. Anyway, I think that the outcome was fair. She ate the steak, she lived there, you pay the rent.
Agreed.
Joshua Moon and Sarah Hansberry are suing car seller Michelle Maley for the cost of a vehicle and repairs.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please. Hello, Kevin.
Hello. Case number 1126, Moon Hansberry versus Maley.
Thank you. How did you find this car, Mr. Moon?
Facebook Marketplace.
Have you ever purchased a car by Facebook before?
No, ma'am.
Did you know the defendant before you purchased her car?
No, ma'am.
Where do you live? In what jurisdiction?
Minnesota.
And you live in Minnesota as well?
Correct.
You live close to each other, I assume.
Within a half an hour.
That's pretty close. What kind of car was it?
It's a 2011 Chevy Avail.
And what was the purchase price you agreed to?
$1,200.
Is that correct?
It was $1,300.
On what date did you go and look at the car?
July 15th.
When she listed the car, what did she list the car for?
$1,300.
How much money did you bring with you?
I brought $1,300.
How much did you give her?
$1,200.
Tell me why.
Because it's an older car, it had higher mileage, so I talked her down on the price.
But you gave her $1,200.
Yes, ma'am.
Not $8.
No.
Did you take the money out of the bank?
No, I had another vehicle. I took over a title loan against it.
You took a title loan against another car.
My other car, yes.
When did you do that?
July 13th.
Can I see proof of that, please? You took out a loan for $5,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have to pay them back $12,220.
It's 330% interest rate on the loan.
Well, the annual percentage rate is 107.7%.
Yep.
What other bills do you have to pay?
Rent, utilities, food.
What happened to this car?
Right now it's in Wisconsin. I still have it.
You still paying this loan?
Yes.
You took the car on the 15th. let us assume that you paid her $1,200 for the car. She was asking $13,000.
Right.
I'll get to the middle of the story in a second. I'm going to the end of the story. You resold the car. To whom?
Her name was Naomi. I don't know her last name offhand.
Where did you find her?
On Craigslist, I believe. I posted the car after we took it back.
On what date?
We took the car back August 20th, so I'm guessing probably August 22nd, 21st, right after I took the car back.
How much were you asking for the car?
$1,300.
And how much did she pay you for the car?
I think she gave us $1,300.
You have to understand, if I determine that he gave you $1,200, you have to give him his money back. You understand that?
Initially, yes, but there was expenses that I had.
I don't give a rat's behind about your expenses. You're not going to sell the car for $2,500 or $2,600. That's worth $12,000.
Agreed.
If you took the car back from him for whatever reason, you're going to let me know what the reason is. You can't sell the same car twice. Okay, so now you're going to tell me what happened with the car.
I drove back and forth to work a couple times, and in the midst of working an 8-hour shift, the car went dead. I had to get it jumped.
Okay, on what date was that?
10 days after that we had purchased it, so it was the 25th that he realized the problems, because I remember the phone call
Just a second.
made.
And this car doesn't have any guarantees, warranties, anything else? You bought a used car, you bought an old car for $1,200 bucks. 10 days later, it stopped running. You know, she's not responsible for that, right?
Yes.
Right.
You agree?
Yes.
Okay, so what happened next?
The next day, jumped it, took it home, and within an hour sitting in the parking lot where we lived, it was dead.
Okay.
It was an electrical issue.
Okay.
So I rented a U-Haul and towed it 5 hours down to my mechanic, because we've been friends 20 years. He fixed it. He called me, told me it was done. But between the kids being in school and me working, we couldn't get down there right away to pick it up.
How much later?
A couple weeks.
It was approximately probably a month later, because it was right after I had had surgery, and that was part of what was taking up time.
Okay, so now it's at least a month and a half since you purchased this car.
Yes.
Okay, and so you went and picked it up.
We went down there, and we pulled in the parking lot, and Sarah said, "Where's the car?" So I went inside the shop, and my mechanic came out and told me that Miss Mackey came and picked it up, paid the bill, and picked the car up and took it back home.
Ball's in your court.
On the 6th day after he had the car, I think July 21st, he texted me and told me that be prepared, because I'm going to get $400 in parking tickets in your name. You sold me a lemon.
May I see that, please?
Yes, you sure can.
4 days later, you didn't have trouble with the car 4 days later.
So it was 6 days. So it was the 15th they bought it. On the 21st was this first message from him. And so this is when they bought the car, and then that's when the message started with he's going to...
Did you check out the lemon law in Minnesota?
Sure.
What do you think the lemon law in Minnesota is, sir?
I really don't have any idea.
What did you mean when you threatened her you will be getting $400 worth of parking tickets in the mail?
I said it over anger because I contacted her by phone and told her that the car is having electrical issues, and can you please do something to help me? Her comment was, "You bought the car for me. It's not my issue. It's your issue now."
She's right, unless Minnesota has a private lemon law.
So it was created to protect when you buy or lease a car that is still under the original manufacturer's warranty, not intended to eliminate all problems you'll ever encounter with your vehicle or from private parties. But if the private party, if it was still under manufacturer's warranty, it seems
not a $1,200 car.
Exactly.
Okay, so you bought the car as is, you were having trouble, you drove the car home, you drove the car to work a few times, and what you did was you did not register the car in your name, even though she had given you the title and the papers, and you threatened her that since the car was still in her name, you were going to leave it all over town and get parking tickets, which would have affected her.
Right.
Right. You expect me to help you?
Joshua Moon and Sarah Hansberry claim car seller Michelle Maley sold them a lemon that needed repairs. Michelle says they did not change the registration to their names after owning the car for weeks.
You expect me to help you?
I don't know.
Can I speak, please?
Sure.
So Josh originally had called Miss Millie and said, "There's a problem with the car. Can you tell us what's going on?" She had said, "No, there's not supposed to be any problems. I don't know of anything about this. You bought the car. It's up to you." So we had said, "Okay, Fine.
No, you didn't say, okay, fine.
No, I found out he had sent the text, and I talked to him. And I said, we need to call and find out what's going on. And so that's when we called and found out. And
found out what?
And found out that there had been no problems. It was then that we decided we were going to take it down to go get looked at. And she at one point had told us that she would give us the money back for the car. If we were to give her the car back, we said, no, we want to register it. We're going to register it.
Oh, just a minute. So she said, I'll give you the money back for the car. Mm-hmm. And you said no.
We had the car at the mechanic at that point.
I don't care where you had the car. She offered you your money back for the car.
Oh, hang on, let me find.
Can I say one other thing? No.
You were in effect making her a guarantor for the car by not registering it in your name, so that if you got tickets or anything else, it would be in her name. She would be the one who was penalized.
Yes, and
yes?
we had,
yes.
When we,
Good, you just made yourself an extra $1,200.
No, we had, when we brought it down to the mechanics, then we had contacted her after saying we wanted to switch the title over. We went to the DMV to switch the title, and we're told that she had...
You can't tell me what anybody told you. That's all hearsay. You had the car from the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. He drove it to work several times. You had the car in the mechanic for a month. You still had the title. You were still capable of transferring the title.
This is the title that she gave us. And on the back, it states where she signed it for the $1,200 that we paid her.
May I see
and
it?
Their name. And we took it to the DMV to transfer it into our name and found out that she had called 11 days after we purchased the vehicle and requested a new title so we could not transfer it into our name.
Oh, well, that's possible. That's after your husband's text.
Well, then we contacted her to meet us at the DMV so we could...
On what date? You bought the car July 15th. July 16th, it should have been registered. 17th, it should have been registered. 18th, it should have been registered. 19th, it should have been registered.
I even offered to pay for the title transfer so that they would get it out of my name.
We went to the DMV and waited for a number of times. I'm getting it. It was...
Whatever it is, you didn't get the car out of her name when you were supposed to. You threatened her to encumber her license and her other vehicles when you had no right to do that. She can't fully benefit, but you put her through a lot of difficulty. She had to go, retrieve the car, resell it. There's no question that everybody agrees, at least that you gave her $1,200 for the car, and you have to pay her for some of her trouble. Because the trouble was caused by you.
I had to pay the mechanic to get the car out. It was just...
How much did you pay?
It was just a brake pedal sensor. It wasn't an electrical issue. It was like a small fix. But his mechanic charged $291.55.
$300, so that's $900. And you had to go to the mechanic. And how far is the mechanic? He took her to a mechanic that he liked.
5.5 hours away.
5.5 hours away. So you drove 5.5 hours one way and 5.5 hours the other way?
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes, it was a long drive in Wisconsin.
You get nothing. Your case is dismissed. We're over.
Court is adjourned.
I definitely think it could have been handled better.
I think that she's a smart woman and always gets it right.
I think we should at least get money back for the car because we don't have the car.
No, it was a good car. I missed that car.
I'm wondering whether it would be wise to put in that bill of sale that the car must be registered in your name within 48 hours, or the seller can reclaim the car and retain the purchase price, which gives you some incentive to do it. Because otherwise, you as the seller, if someone like these people did not change the registration for over a month, if that car is in an accident and hurts somebody, well, they're going to sue the driver, but they're also going to sue the owner of the car successfully. Good lesson.
Case number 1162, Hagen versus Chavez. Please step forward.
Harris Hagen is suing his former friend, Johnny Chavez, for the cost of a car.
Mr. Hagen, you purchased a car. Did you purchase it at auction?
No, I purchased it from a friend of mine.
What kind of car was it?
It was a Saturn Vue.
What year?
2005.
How much did you pay him for it?
I paid $600 for it.
Your complaint is that Mr. Chavez stole the car.
Yes.
in effect. Mr. Chavez says you gave him the car. You may have been a little drunk when you gave him the car, but you gave him the car, and then when he wouldn't give it back to you, you vandalized it. So he's got a cross-complaint. That's what the case is about, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now I'm going to go to you, Mr. Chavez. Now I know he bought the car in August of this year. He paid $600 for it. You went out drinking on what night?
I'm not sure what night, Your Honor.
Figure it out. Was it August, September, October?
September.
So it was within a month of him getting the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And it was on a Saturday night.
I think it was a Saturday, yes.
Well, let's be sure. Sarah, what are the dates in September on Saturday night? We're not talking about a year ago. We're talking about a month ago.
The 4th.
Okay. Mr. Chavez, was it the 4th of September?
Yes, it was.
That sound right?
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Okay. Now, do you remember how Mr. Chavez got into possession of the car?
Yes, I do.
Tell me about it.
Harris Hagen claims his former friend, Johnny Chavez, owes for the cost of a car. Johnny is countersuing, claiming Harris vandalized the vehicle in revenge.
Okay. Do you remember how Mr. Chavez got into possession of the car?
Yes, I do.
Tell me about it.
Well, I told him at first that I wanted to sell the car. He goes, I have a friend that might want to buy it. And he goes, could I show it to him? I said, yeah, you can. I go, title's in the glove box. Just in case you get pulled over.
Slowly, so I can hear you.
Just in case you get pulled over, you have the title, so you have possession of the vehicle,
So you hadn't transferred the title to your name?
Not at the time, no.
Did he tell you his friend's name?
Teresa.
Who's Teresa?
She is a friend of mine.
What does Teresa do?
I take care of Teresa. She's blind, so there's no way she was going to buy a car.
When you say you take care of her, what do you do for her?
I help her get things. I give her rides to the store.
Do you get paid for doing that by any governmental agency?
I do not.
What car do you use to take her?
I used my Dodge Magnum. The engine has blowing on it, so when Eris came to me about a car, it was the perfect time.
Oh, you didn't have a car at that time. So it was a perfect time for you to
shop for a car, yes.
To shop around for a car.
Absolutely.
For Teresa, because you were doing her business.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, somebody take out the title, whoever has the title, and hand it to Kevin. Thank you. Kevin, why don't you just go back to your spot and hold on to that. So now you look at the car and he says to you, I know somebody who might need that. He says it was Teresa. You say it was Teresa. He knows Teresa. He takes care of Teresa. And his car had blown, so he didn't have a vehicle. So it was a perfect time for him. That's what he says. And what do you say to him?
I said, yes, you can show her the car. He said it was her and her friend, because I knew she was blind. So I was like, well, how is she going to buy the car, but her friend.
So you knew she was blind?
Yes.
So when he said he would be interested, did you quote him a price?
I did.
What price did you quote him?
I said $3,000.
Well, you had the car for a relatively short period of time. You hadn't transferred the title. What did you do to the car?
I did an oil change on it, and that's when I noticed that it needed some front-end work. And I told him, you can show her the car, but I need it back immediately because I have to repair the front end.
Mr. Hagen, you paid $600 for the car. You did an oil change, so that cost $30. It needed other work on the car that you said you wanted it back to do. But at the time you gave it to him, the car that you paid for was $600.
Correct.
That's all I want to know. And he was supposed to show the car to Teresa's friend.
Correct.
And then what happened?
I went back to Eris and asked him what he wanted for it and would he do payments.
And?
Never got an answer.
And?
I still was in possession of the vehicle, which therefore I came at him with a proposition for myself.
A proposition for yourself that?
So I could buy the car.
And?
He agreed to it.
Great. For how much?
I said I would pay $500 a month until it was paid off. I wanted to give him an extra $1,000 for it because he was doing it with the payments. So I wanted to give him $4,000 for the car in total.
Well, he had just paid $600 for it. He hadn't done any work on it.
$600. I did not know that.
Well, that's what he paid for it.
I know now.
That's what he paid for it.
He also did say he did not want to sell it to a friend. I didn't know what he meant by that, but that's what he said. I did not know. So he wouldn't tell me what he got it for, is what he's saying.
So just a minute. So Tell me, Mr. Chavez, you agreed to make payments.
I did.
And you took the car.
I did.
And he signed over the title.
He did.
And you had the car. Did you make the payments?
I have not paid him yet. We agreed on a payment.
Mr. Chavez, you know how dumb some people are? It's always mind-boggling to me, Sarah, how dumb some people are. I want to just read Mr. Chavez's answer. We'd been friends for a year. My car broke down. I was looking for one. He recently bought one for $600. We were drinking, but he seemed of sound mind. He said that since he could not drive the car and I needed one, he would give me the car. He just asked if I would drive him around until he got his license back. He gave me the keys and signed the title over to me. The next day, he showed up at my house yelling and banging at my door.
Fact, but...
Well, that's your signature, sir.
No, that was after the
fact. That's your signature, sir. And that's what you said.
That was the second
You said,
initial.
hey, don't try to talk over me.
There was 2 offers to
you
the car.
didn't
Okay, that was the second
remember.
one.
You just finished the story. This
That was
whole
the second
long
offer of the
story
car.
that wasn't in here, that you made up a price with him.
That was the
you were
first
gonna,
offer.
Don't try to talk
Well,
over me.
you're not listening.
Don't try to talk over me.
You're not listening.
Now, I'm going to get back to you, Mr. Hagan. Would you do me a favor, please? Go over to him and show him where to sign the title back over to Mr. Hagan.
I will not.
You will not?
No.
Okay, very good. Do you recall?
He gave me the car.
Do you recall how much money you were going to receive for being in court today?
No.
You don't know.
No, I don't.
You will not get any.
I don't know.
I'm telling you.
I didn't know I wasn't going to get anything anyways.
You will not get any.
Okay.
You will not
He
get
gave me
any.
a car.
Just a second. May I have the title, please? Okay. Very good. Now, I'm going to give this to you, together with an order that I have determined that this car belongs to you. Do you understand?
I do, Your Honor.
You can take that to the Department of Motor Vehicles. It will provide them with notice because he has signed a document today when he was in court that he agreed to abide by my judgment. So I'm going to give you an order that this is your car and that they are to issue you a new title to this car. Then you can call the police and have him arrested. Do you understand if he refuses to give you your car back?
I do.
It's not his car.
Do you understand?
I do.
I don't care if he understands. Do you understand?
I understand.
Kevin, would you give him a copy of this, please? Thank you very much. We will have an order for you by the end of the day. Do you understand?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Very good. Your counterclaim for vandalism is dismissed. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
I got my car back.
He's giving me money here and there. I wanted to be nice to him and return the favor.
He just liked it so much that he wanted to keep it.
How can I steal something that he gave me a title to?
That case brought up one of your favorite sayings. If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
It's true. He just signed.
Collins is suing her neighbor, Beth Jessie, for the cost of 2 Yorkie poos and emotional distress.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Good morning, Judge. Case 1107, Collins versus Jesse.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Collins, the case is really not a difficult one. The facts of it aren't difficult. You and the defendant are neighbors.
Yes.
You know each other.
Yes, Your Honor.
You were going away on vacation and you have 2 small dogs.
Yes.
You asked the defendant if she would watch the 2 dogs that you had.
Yes.
And along with a bird.
Yes.
Were you paying her?
Yes, I was going to pay her.
How much?
Maybe about 50 or 60 bucks.
Not about. Did you discuss with her that you will...
We didn't discuss the price. We just discussed her being paid.
Okay, so there was not a contract between the 2 of you because a contract would require certain specifics. If you said to her, I'll watch my dog, I'll pay you. Is that what she said? Correct. Okay, so that's not a contract. A contract needs specific terms. Anyway, she was watching your dogs, and during the time that the dogs were in her care, they disappeared.
Yes, Your Honor.
And they disappeared, according to your complaint, under the circumstances that would suggest that they were stolen because the defendant showed you the dog's collars that she found when she was searching for the dogs in a parking lot not far from your house.
Right, yep.
Which would suggest that the dogs didn't run away, but somebody took them.
Correct.
That be a fair statement?
Correct.
We all understand now what this case is about. You want her to compensate you for the 2 dogs and emotional distress, which is nonsense. When did you leave the dogs with her?
Like June the 18th.
And how long were you going to be away?
About 5 days.
Had she ever watched the dogs before?
No, I had just gotten them maybe like 3 months prior.
So they were puppies?
Yes, babies.
Where did you get them from?
I bought them from Hoobly. I have a Hoobly account, and they sell and buy dogs. And I met a person that was selling them, and I agreed to buy them. And I drove like 4.5 hours away.
What's Hoobly? Explain that to me.
Hoobly is a dog site where people register to buy and sell puppies.
Had you ever used this site before?
My daughter, I got it from her. She got her dog from Hoobly, so she told me about it, and I signed up, and I purchased dogs as well.
I'm just curious. So this is not a breeder. This is a group.
Yes. Some breeders are in the group, though.
It's sort of like seems like a Craigslist for dogs. People post ads, dogs for sale, looking for dogs, those sorts of things.
How much did you pay for each of the puppies?
$2,500 a piece.
Expensive.
Yes.
What kind of dogs were they?
They were miniature Yorkie poos, 2 boys.
Have pictures of them?
Yes.
May I see them, please? Well, you're giving me more than pictures. Is this what they look like?
Yes.
Cute. So at the time that the defendant was watching them for you, they were about 4 months old?
Yes.
Did you ever discuss with the defendant how much you paid for them?
No, I never discussed how much I paid for them. I just told her that they were very expensive dogs.
She never said that.
Do you have dogs?
I do. I have 3 Esky Jacks. They're American Eskimo Jack Russell Terriers, a designer breed as well.
How much did you pay for them?
I didn't pay for anything for them. They are a litter from my Eskimo that I kept.
And what did you breed your Eskimo with?
So Abigail, she is an American Eskimo miniature. She actually just got out of the fence one day and bred herself with a Jack Russell. And we ended up with 4 puppies, and I got stuck with 3 of them. They're my world.
Okay. So the fence that she got out of is the same area where you let the dogs out?
No.
Okay. Tell me what happened. The dogs disappeared. Tell me what happened on the night that the dogs disappeared.
On the night that the dogs disappeared, we had a power outage. Lightning has struck the transformer.
What was the date?
June 20th.
And where do you live?
Mishawaka, Indiana.
And that was on the 20th of June?
Yes.
You confirm that for me?
I'll look into it.
Power outage. And?
It got very hot. My youngest had already fallen asleep, so I let him sleep in his bed. My oldest was outside watching the power crews, do their work. It got so hot that I let my dogs, which I had done all week, I let them all out back, fully fenced in yard, so they wouldn't get too hot. And in 5 minutes, I went inside, checked on Lonnie, made sure he was okay. I heard my dogs barking.
Well, when you let your dogs out, the puppies went out too?
Yes.
So you let all the dogs out?
Yep.
How old are your dogs?
They are 9.
All of them?
All of them. They're siblings, yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
I let them out. I went back inside to check on my youngest, make sure that Levi was okay out front, and I heard my dogs barking. They only bark when they see something. It could be a squirrel, raccoon, it could literally be anything. I went out there to check on them, and they were nowhere in sight. I have a gate to the back of my property that has a stake going through it to keep it closed. It was open. I called for my dogs. They came right back because they're very well trained. Hers did not. Gucci and Prada were their names. I kept calling for them. All week long, they came right to me. They were not coming to me. So I grabbed a
So during the week, how long had you been watching them?
2 days at that point. If her calculation is correct, she left on the 18th.
Okay.
So I grabbed a flashlight. I let my son know that I was going out back. The dogs had gotten out. I had gotten my 3 back, but that the 2 black ones were missing. So I went back there, and I have photos of my backyard when it's dark. It's pitch black. So with a flashlight, I'm constantly looking. There's 2 little black puppies. So I was looking a good half an hour for them when I found their collars in the parking lot, the liquor store behind my house. And that's when I called the police.
Collins claims her neighbor, Beth Jessie, owes for the cost of 2 Yorkie poos after they were lost while in Beth's possession.
Okay. Can I see photos of the backyard?
Yep. I also have the police report as well.
Thank you. I have a police report because the plaintiff
original,
gave me
if that helps.
all this stuff when she gave me pictures.
Mine is an actual copy from the police department.
There was a power outage due to severe weather and tornadoes from the 20th to the 21st.
Did you take the dogs to the vet?
Yes, I took them to the vet. Before I took the dogs to her and let her keep the dogs, I had just taken the dogs to the vet maybe like a couple days prior to get their first shots.
Did you get the dogs chipped?
I didn't get the dogs chipped.
It was a mistake.
Yeah, it was. But that was my first time taking them to the vet. I was supposed to go back and take them June the 25th for their second vaccine, so I was going to get them chipped then. They were so small at the time, you know, that was the first visit, so I decided, okay, well, I'll wait till the next visit to get a microchip. I never thought that, you know, they were going to come up missing so soon.
Okay. You have any proof that the defendant stole your dogs or any way profited from the dogs being taken?
Well, I just feel like...
And I don't want you to tell me what you feel. What you
know
feel, what you
happened
think.
With the dogs, and I believe that she did something with them.
I don't care what you believe.
Well, I know she did something with them.
You know?
Yes.
What you know has to be predicated on a fact. What you believe has to be predicated on a fact in a court. What you believe you can have outside of a courthouse. Here I take proof. What has been presented to me was that a crime was committed, and that crime is theft, not negligence, but a theft, which is a criminal act. And she showed you the collars from the dogs.
Yeah, she returned the collars.
Okay.
I also returned all of their belongings.
No,
and the birds.
Belongings is not an issue. The collars, and I'll see the pictures now that you want to show me, Kevin.
In the pictures, it shows not only my backyard black, but I tried to use a flash as well just to kind of light up this backyard. Also, my cameras. I have 2 cameras in the front yard and 1 in the backyard that are on all the time. Unfortunately, with the power outage, they were down.
Yeah.
And then the 1 photo is of my 3.
Belief is yours to have. What you think is yours to have. Here you require proof. You left your dogs in the custody of the defendant.
Yes.
In order for her to be responsible for your dog, the cost of your dogs, there has to be some act on her part that displays some sort of a negligence on her part. I don't see that. The yard is fenced.
Your Honor, if you would look at those pictures that I just gave to you,
you gave me, listen to me, you gave me a whole stack of papers. Kevin, you can return all this stuff
the fence shows...
Just a second.
Okay.
You can return all this stuff to the plaintiff and have her, when I asked her for pictures of the dog, she gave me up a whole bunch of other stuff that had nothing to do with the dog. Okay. So if she wants to look through and
what she's trying to say and what she accused me of,
just a second.
Your Honor.
If you will look here on this photo, this photo shows the picture of her backyard. The black circle shows pictures of the welding on the gate. The gate doesn't even open. I'm not sure how.
If the gate doesn't open.
No, it doesn't.
If the gate doesn't open, then that means that somebody leaned over and got your dogs. Unless you have proof.
Are you serious?
I have a photo of my fence open.
May I see?
Yeah. So, on my camera.
Don't. The point is, in order for her to be responsible, I have to believe that she, this lady, and I need proof for that, took the collars off your dog, your collars, gave them to you, said that your dogs were stolen, and she sold your dogs for profit, did something with them. And in addition to that, immediately, to cover her tracks, called the police and committed another felony by reporting an act that didn't take place because she had actually stolen the dog. So in order for me to hold her responsible, I have to believe that she committed 2 felonies, one by stealing them and one by filing a false police report. And I don't see any proof of that. I mean, if you loan your car to somebody and they park it in a parking spot designed, and they take the keys to the car and they go inside to a restaurant, and some thief comes, breaks the car window, hot wires the car and steals it, the person who borrowed your car is not responsible for that. If they left the keys in the car, yes, they would be responsible because that was an intervening act of negligence. You understand?
Yeah.
But so far, I haven't heard of any act of negligence that allowed this thief to, whoever it was, to take possession of your puppies. I mean, and they're clearly valuable puppies because they didn't take her dogs. They took valuable young puppies.
Yuppers. Right.
Do you understand?
Someone that, but my thing is, it's a rainstorm, the power is out, it's raining, it's wet, it's pitch black. In the middle of the night, the puppies are jet black. We don't have an alley, so it's not like traffic is coming back and forth down the alley. And the liquor store is
in and out all the time.
The liquor store is right behind our house. We do not have a pavement alley that cars can drive through. So my thing is, who would be laying out in the middle of the night after a rainstorm looking to steal some puppies?
I don't know.
Me either.
I don't know. I don't know what kind of person carjacks a car and hot wires it and takes somebody else's property in the middle of the night. I don't know who does that, but a lot of people do it. And I don't know personally anybody that would break into a house during a power outage and take advantage of that kind of darkness in order to commit a crime by stealing. I don't know, but I know a lot of people do it. I don't personally know people that take advantage of a power outage and go in and loot a store. I don't personally know, I don't think anybody who would do that, but I know people do it. So I can't answer your question. All I know is, in order to believe your proposition that the defendant did an act which makes her responsible for this, there has to be some act on her part other than a criminal act. And in order for me to believe that, I have to assume that this lady committed 2 felonies, grand larceny of your puppies and falsely reporting an incident to the police, because she did immediately report it to the police. Those 2 things, and I have no proof of that. Do you understand?
Yes.
I feel terrible for you. I'm sure she felt terrible.
Also, Your Honor, after she got home, not only were the police called another 10 times for harassment because she nonstop verbally abused me, and she did not put up flyers. She did not reach out to Facebook and all the law sites. She did not post anything.
Well, one of the problems is you waited to have them chipped.
Right.
Collins claims her neighbor, Beth Jessie, owes for the cost of 2 Yorkie poos after they were lost while in Beth's possession.
Okay. You waited to have them chipped. If they had been chipped, there was a possibility that you might get them back because somebody would take them to a vet and then they would see a chip and they would read the chip. So that was a choice that you made. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm not saying it's your fault, but it's something that you could have done before you turned them over to the defendant to take care of. I mean, that's within your power to do. You're the parent to these 2 creatures. Anyway, I don't find sufficient evidence to find her responsible for the act of a thief. And in order to prove that she was a thief or anyone acting on her behalf was a thief, you haven't established that to me unless you have proof to the contrary. Do you?
No.
The case is dismissed. Thank you very much.
Court is adjourned.
She's the judge, so however it goes, I'm sorry about the loss for the puppies, and I hope whoever has them is taking good care of them.
I'm glad that she saw through the lies and the manipulation that she puts on quite the front.
Her animals are nothing compared to mine, far as in pricing.
To compare my dogs as less inferior, all animals need to be loved and cared for.
Her dogs are old, my dogs were babies, and they're worth a lot of money.
Whoever has them, I really hope that they're loving them as much as I did.
Next time, I'll make sure that's the first thing I'll do, chip the dogs.
Yes, always. Mine are chipped.
I think a good lesson from that case for all new pet owners is to get your animals chipped as soon as possible, because you never know when some crime like this could happen outside of your control.
Either outside of your control or as a result of even your own negligence. Yeah. You know, you'd open a door, puppy runs outside. It was a good lesson for her. I feel sorry for her. She paid a lot of money for those dogs.
Yeah.
Next time she'll be more careful.
Case number 1109, Cuevas versus Salazar. All parties, please step forward.
Carlos Cuevas is suing his former fiancée, Jessica Salazar, for a Chevy Tahoe and repair costs.
Okay. Mr. Cuevas, you and the defendant were in a long-term relationship of about 8 years. That relationship ended in 2019?
Correct.
When I say you were in a long-term relationship, you are in fact living together.
Correct.
You have children together?
No.
Do you have kids?
No.
Do you?
Yes.
How many?
1.
How old?
11.
So Ms. Salazar's child was living with you?
Correct.
Okay. At some point while you were together, a car was purchased, a Tahoe.
Correct.
In what year?
2016.
Was that the only car that was used by the two of you?
Yes.
No. No.
Who had a car?
He did, and I also did.
So you each had a car plus the Tahoe?
Yes.
Okay. When the Tahoe was purchased, was there a loan?
Yes.
Who was the primary on that loan?
I was.
Was Miss Salazar the secondary on that
Yes.
loan? And was the title of the car in both your names?
Yes.
Who has the title?
I do.
Take it out, please. Would you hand that, just hand that to Kevin. Kevin's going to hold it. Now, you separated in 2019. In 2019, who took the Tahoe?
She did.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
In what month did you take the Tahoe?
On October 1st, 2019.
And you kept it until what month and year?
I kept it until November 26th of 2019. I
So
stand
you have-
corrected. I stand corrected. I'm so sorry. November 30th.
Of 2019?
Correct.
So you kept it for about 2 months?
Correct.
And then she returned it to you?
Correct.
And you've had it ever since?
Correct.
You are paying the loan on the car.
The loan's paid off.
When did you pay off the loan?
The last payment was made in August.
And you have the Tahoe.
Correct.
And for the last 2 years, you've been driving the Tahoe.
Correct. That's my main transportation.
So what are you suing her for?
Because of the damages that the vehicle was in.
I contacted him.
When I received the vehicle was severely deteriorated. The engine was shot. I had to replace the engine.
Well, then you should have sued her in 2019. You're too late.
It gives you 2 years to sue.
Just a second. You're too late.
No, I have to disagree,
Well,
Judge.
I don't care whether you disagree with me or not. You have the car for 2 years. You still have the car. You paid off the car. She's not paying you $10,000. You don't want the car anymore. You bought it in 2016. It's 5 years old. Sell it. Keep all the money.
I have to
You just need
disagree.
her. I don't care whether you agree or don't agree. She's going to sign over the title to the car to you.
And what about the damages?
She's going to sign over the title to the car to you.
I have to disagree, Judge.
I don't care what you agree with or disagree with, sir. You don't seem to understand. This isn't a dance. I ask you, you ask me. I'm telling you, you've had the car.
Let me show you the proof.
Not interested.
Let me show you something.
Not interested. Take the title, Kevin. Give it to the defendant. Look where she signs over the title to him. He can take the car. He can sell it. He can use it. He can give it to his new girlfriend. He can do whatever he wants with the car. It belongs to him.
I have to disagree, Judge.
I don't care if you agree or not. My happiness is not dependent on your happiness.
I had to pull money out of my retirement to pay for something that I wasn't responsible for because of her neglect.
Very good. Here's the title to the car. Go and sell it. Now, you have an equally ridiculous counterclaim.
Well,
your counterclaim is equally as ridiculous because you now want him to pay for half of the wedding deposits from 2 years ago.
Well, if it wasn't for his pettiness, I wouldn't have bothered the court with my case.
Oh, good. Then I'm glad. Then I don't have to deal with it. So your counterclaim's dismissed, and now you own the car. Free and clear. Title's off. Bye. Thank you very much.
Court is adjourned.
I don't feel it was fair.
I'm very ecstatic about the decision. I felt like it was fair.
We signed a loan together and she just left the car in my hands broken.
Tried to contact him because he said that he would work on the car. Didn't want to work on the car.
The engine was completely totaled. I had to replace it.
I think that it was normal wear and tear.
Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Don't do it unless you're married.
There's a reason that courts say if you should bring an action in a timely way. Because in this case, the relationship's over, but everybody's had a couple of years to sort of think about it, and he's enjoyed this truck for 2 years, and all of a sudden, doink, light goes off, and says, well, I didn't like the way she returned the car. So I think I want $10,000.
It's important to file timely because also waiting signals things like that to the court, that there might be some other reason you didn't bring the action sooner and then you waited too long and maybe it stung a little bit more the longer you waited. But I think that courts are going to have a problem with COVID and the backup in logs of when complaints are filed and when they can actually be heard. But you know, this incident happened pre-COVID, so they can't really rely on the court's lag for their
his delay in bringing the action. Right, it happened in 2019.
Gina Baker is suing her ex-boyfriend, Carl Harper, for his portion of utilities, rent, and half the value of a Peloton bike.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 1153, Baker versus Harper.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Baker, you and Mr. Harper were together for over 14 years. As a couple lived together.
Yes, ma'am.
And separated sometime in September of this year.
Yes.
You purchased a home.
Yes.
In what year did you purchase a home?
2016.
Prior to that, where did you and Mr. Harper live?
We lived in another residence in a town a few minutes away in Anoka, Minnesota.
Was it a rental?
No, it was. I had owned that property for 17 years.
So Mr. Harper moved in with you?
Yes, in that residence, and then.
But he moved into your prior residence?
Yes.
That you owned?
Yes.
When he moved in, was he working?
Yes. He's always been employed.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Harper?
I'm a pool builder.
And when you moved into the prior residence, prior to 2016, were you contributing to the household?
Yes.
How did you share your finances?
Split them.
Down the middle?
Down the middle.
Did you have a joint bank account?
At that time, no.
No.
So in what year did you have a joint bank account?
17, maybe?
2017. Yeah, I co-signed for a Jeep. So both of our names were on the Jeep Wrangler vehicle, and in order to do that, we had to open a joint account for them to get the payments on auto pay.
Okay.
Well, we had a Harley that we were both on. We had a BMW we were both on. We were on a Range Rover. So there was quite a few vehicles that we both were on. So
That you were both on the title?
yes.
Is that correct?
Yes,
Over
but
the
they
years?
were all his vehicles.
That doesn't matter.
Co-signed. Yes.
Doesn't matter. They
Yes.
were.
And I paid all the bills.
Okay. So you co-signed on the Jeep, but you didn't pay for the Jeep. He paid for the Jeep.
Exactly.
Okay. You opened up a joint bank account in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Who put the money in the joint bank account? A very easy question. Who put
I
the
did. I thought you were asking.
Okay. Ms. Baker, you have your own bank account.
Yes.
Your own checking.
Yes, I do.
And out of your bank account is paid the mortgage.
Yes.
And out of your bank account are paid the utilities, taxes, et cetera, your personal bank account.
Yes, we.
So that's a yes.
Yes.
So since 2017, you've had your own personal bank account and you've had a joint bank account. But in your bank account, whatever monies, and I'm going to find out what monies flow through that bank account, you pay for all the household expenses out of that bank account.
Mostly. I had Mr. Harper changed the utilities into his name because I moved out for a month about 4 years ago. And when I moved out, I had him put the utilities in his name. And so what would happen when we paid the mortgage payment is we would split the utilities. He would pay the utilities with his credit cards or however he paid the utilities that were in his name. And then I would deduct that from the rent money that was his half of the mortgage.
Okay.
And so.
But he would give you money.
Yes.
My question is, he would give you money from his own personal account.
Yes.
What he earned to put in your personal account to pay for his share of the expenses for the house since 2017.
I'm slightly confused about it because I've had my own bank account since high school. So,
oh, well, that I understand.
I mean,
that I understand. But what I'm saying is you didn't open this joint bank account as a vessel to both put in money and pay your expenses.
No.
He gave you money, according to your complaint.
And she gave. Okay.
He gave you money. You put the money in your personal account to pay the household expenses, his half of the household expenses.
Yes.
Fine. And therefore, I must assume that the only money put in the joint account was his money.
That's what I assumed. I've given him eviction notices prior to June. Anyway, in that process, I found paperwork throughout the house, 2 checks, one refinance refund, one an insurance homeowner's refund that somehow got deposited into the joint account that I never used.
Okay, just 1 second. Do you have proof of that?
Yes.
Okay. How much did that total?
The total, there was one check for $665, which I have a photo of, and then there was another check for $705.
Okay. So let me add that up. So this was an insurance refund. These were refunds.
Yeah, one from a homeowner.
One for homeowners, but you had split, correct?
No.
You
we didn't split those refunds because...
No, not the refunds.
Oh, no.
I'm not talking about the refunds. I'm talking about the expenses that were originally paid. So if I add up these two figures...
$1,370.
$1,370. And divide that by 2, Sarah.
$685.
So if you split expenses, you would have been entitled to $685, and he would have been entitled to $685. That's a yes.
No.
That's a yes. Oh, that would be a yes. If you split expenses, and you got these 2 refunds, and you got these 2 just a second. You don't have to agree with me. You would have been entitled to half of them. So he shouldn't have taken those checks and put them into a personal account if giving your statement in its most favorable light, he should not have put those in a joint account. And if he did, he should have said to you, I'm putting these in the joint account, but here's for your personal account, $685, which is your share of the refund.
Correct. However, I am the only person that ever pays for any of the repairs in the house, because when it comes down to the repairs, the house is in my name.
Okay, so let me explain this to you. Let me explain this to you. No. We're not getting into those weeds.
Baker claims her ex-boyfriend, Carl Harper, owes for his portion of utilities, rent, and half the value of a Peloton bike. Carl is countersuing for money taken from their joint bank account.
Okay, I'm not getting into those weeds with you. Courts don't get into those weeds.
Because I remodeled the whole bathroom downstairs.
Just a second.
Okay.
That's why I said I'm not getting into those weeds. The best thing that can happen as a result of this is that you get $685. Now, what I gather is this is what you're suing him for. You say that he lived in the house for 13 days in September.
Yes.
And he didn't pay 13 days of expenses.
Or the August utility bills, because when you get a utility bill, it's billed the month.
So he didn't pay 13 days.
For rent.
And then, just a second. And then, so don't shuffle.
Okay.
It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea to shuffle. And then when he left, he took a Peloton bike.
Yes.
And I don't know what your position is with regard to who bought the Peloton bike. I know it's Mr. Harper's position that he purchased the Peloton bike. I don't know who used the Peloton bike. Do you use it?
Yes, I do.
Do you use it?
I have used it
No,
a
well,
few
that's
times, but he did purchase the bike. I did pay him half for the bike. I have a copy of that check also.
Okay, so at best, you would be entitled to half of what the Peloton bike cost when it was purchased. It was purchased in 2017?
20, I think, according to the check.
2017.
May I see?
I don't have records because I tried to get records and they said they had to send them out and it would take 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
But I have a phone number that they said I can. I understand. Never mind. Okay. Judge Judy, I watch you all the time, so I understand.
Okay. You say you bought it in 2017, just a second. And you say you gave him a check for half the Peloton in 2020.
Yes.
No.
I'd like to see the check. This has no statement.
It has no memo on it.
What?
It doesn't have. I didn't write it in the memo.
She did.
But it's the check.
She didn't give me a check.
Just a
It's
second.
the check that I paid him for half of the Peloton bike.
I don't believe that. Could you give this back to her?
Well, his
I don't
solution
believe.
to not giving me the half of the money back was to cut it in half with the Sawzall. So I said, it'd be better if you took the bike. I'll take the money. Thank you.
Just a second. I'm not getting involved in the weeds.
True.
Now, how much were his half of the expenses arranged within $200 a month? His half. So far, she would be entitled to $685. That's how, just a second.
All right.
Just a second. If that money was deposited in your joint account. She says it was. Let's say that that's true. Okay, how much were his half of expenses?
His half is $720 for rent, $103.50 for the association fee, which is $207. According to the utilities that I had copies made, the total was about $500, so $250 in utilities. I think would be.
Okay, so that would be the
total.
Okay, so that's the expenses. And $720, Sarah, $103 and $250.
$1,073.
Cut it in
without
half.
the cents. $536.50.
Add $536.50 and $685.
$1,221.05.
Okay, now, did you take out from your joint account any money prior to his leaving?
Yes, I took out.
Just a second. How much? Because you have a counterclaim.
Yes.
How much money did you take out?
I took out.
There's a number. So look.
Yes.
No, there's a number because he has the exact number. So either you tell me or he tells me.
$5,942.
That is not correct.
How
That's
much?
That's how much she took out.
That is
she
not,
got 2 cashier
That is not
checks.
correct.
Just a second. How much did you look and tell me how much you took out?
Well, I closed the account. That's the total of the account.
No, so how much did you?
I took $3,000 out.
You took
July rent.
No.
Okay. I took what the rent.
On what
July
date
15th.
You took out what total amount? You closed the account. You took out what total amount?
Well, if the close.
No, not a well. That's not a well. That's a number.
Okay. The closed total amount for the account was $5,942.
Okay. Just a second. I'm a very, very simple person.
I know you are.
Total of the amount was $5,900. What did you do with the $5,900 that was in the joint account that only he put money in? What did you give him from that $5,900?
$2,942.
$2,942. So you kept $3,000.
Yes, and I can break that down for you.
So, and you had never done that before.
No, I had not.
Okay. So you closed out the joint account, gave him $2,900 out of it, kept $3,000, and I'm sure that you had sort of arguments about it. His total expenses in the house were $1,073 a month. And you closed out the account in June. June what?
July 15th.
July 15th. Okay. Had he paid you any rent the 1st of July?
No.
Do you have any proof that you paid any expenses?
I'm not saying I paid.
Okay, great. So you paid no expenses in July and you lived there?
Well, I paid utilities.
I don't care about it.
Well,
give me a break. Give me a break.
Break it down.
I had to break it down.
But
you didn't.
Utilities included in there, Your Honor.
Mr. Harper, Harper.
Okay.
You do understand you've watched a long time.
Right.
So you were having disagreements in July. What did you give her in July?
I gave her utilities.
Show me.
I don't have anything showing you, but she knows I gave utilities.
Mr. Harper.
Because our utilities were always paid up.
Mr. Harper, the utilities you paid because they were in your name.
Yeah.
Yes. So I want to know in what month you stopped paying.
Well, I can show you August and saying that we didn't have a balance in July.
In July for what?
For utilities.
I don't, listen to me, Mr. Harper. There's a movie, there's an old movie where somebody keeps saying Mr. Harper. Mr. Harper, maybe that's not a movie. Maybe that was court case or somebody. Mr. Harper was probably one of Poppy's cases. Mr. Harper, listen to me carefully. Okay. If you've watched, you know that I have a good memory. Whitney is going to confirm to me that what was said was, you put the utilities in your name. So there was no question you weren't going to pay the utilities. The utilities, Mr. Harper, don't speak.
Okay.
Just listen.
Is accusing her ex-boyfriend of 14 years, Carl Harper, of leaving without paying his portion of expenses. Carl says Gina wrongfully took all the money from their joint bank account.
Okay, I want to know in what month you stopped paying rent. We're not going to get...
What month did I? July.
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 So July...
August.
September.
Just half of September.
July and August. So the rent was $720, and the association fee was $103.
Was paid.
By whom?
By her after I gave her half.
No, just a second. Did you give her half of the association
fee? Yes.
Did he give you?
July.
In July?
In July, yes.
Okay, so he owes $720 for rent in July. Mm-hmm. And what about in August?
In August, I received nothing from him.
Okay, so in August...
No, that's not true. I'm sorry. In August, I took, part of the money...
No, don't say part of the money I took.
Okay.
I want to know what you received. That's where we're at now.
I received the August association fee and the August rent.
Okay, so you're not out the $720 and the $100.
No.
So you're not out the $820. So he's paid in August. And he did not pay in July.
No, but
just a second. He did not. I'm just figuring out how much he owes you and how much he gets on his counterclaim. Okay. You have to understand that's where we're at.
Right.
Okay.
That's where we're at.
I'm trying to explain to you what I took out of the bank was July and August.
I understand exactly what you're saying to me, madam.
Okay,
and I'm
sorry.
trying to, despite the fact that I hate cases that are all math, trying to weed this out because it all amounts to a lot of nonsense after a 15-year relationship.
Exactly.
After a 15-year relationship. So $720 for July, he paid August, and half of what September is, because he didn't pay for September when he was there and he lived there for half the month.
Yeah.
Less than half the month, which is $500. And he owes you $685 for half of the rebates, whatever it is, unless you're going to tell me that you gave her half.
Half of?
Whatever the rebates were from insurance, from
the 2 checks that were taken.
The 2 checks that you deposited. Just say yes.
Yes.
I put them in.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, that makes it my life much easier.
did not happen.
Sarah Rose, add up 720, 500, and 685.
Your Honor, I'm not.
Don't speak.
$1,905.
Subtract that from $3,000. That's what she took out of the account, the joint account, to pay these expenses.
$1,095.
On the claim is dismissed. On the counterclaim, I am awarding you, sir, $1,095. That's the difference of the money that she took out preemptively from your account when you started to have difficulties. $1,095. And I'm telling you now, you're both really lucky. Because most of the time, the vast majority of the time, courts don't get involved with people who are trying out living together. However, in your case, you lived together for 15 years. Clearly, you had very defined parameters of what your financial obligations were, and you pretty much stuck to those financial parameters for most of those 15 years.
Every year.
I don't need any help, Mr. Harper. You stuck to those parameters, and it was only within the last few months that we got kind of wonky when things were going south. And I gather Ms. Baker decided to evict you. Well, if you evict someone, that would mean that they're a tenant, Ms. Baker. And so you sort of can't have it both ways. You can't want to be treated as sort of a spouse and property divided, and then treat him as a tenant by taking him to housing court for an eviction. I mean, it's duplicitous. It's unreasonable. So you're both very lucky that I took the time. Don't say a word. You're a very lucky man. $1,095. We are through.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Court is adjourned.
He has taken advantage of me for years, and I just woke up to it.
I loved her to death and still love her to death, but it is what it is.
Sobriety. I have 2.5 years of sobriety now, and I'm a completely different person. And either way, I'm winning.
For her, I was still her rock, and it still will be, so.
It's past time to part ways. I don't wish him anything, ill. I didn't. I just wanted to be adults in the first place. And unfortunately, we got to this point, but, it is what it is. And like I said, I'm still winning.
That's what happens when you lie, and I just stick to the truth, and it all comes out at the end.
That was an interesting case. They really had what was in effect a relatively long-term marriage. They were together for almost 15 years. Probably most of that, good time. It is clear, and it's clear that they were different from other couples that sort of lived together with this wonky sort of financial arrangement. They had a very clear financial arrangement that both parties lived up to. So it's too bad that in the final months of a relationship, when things go south, it ends up in a court. And I think in the end of that case, I found it interesting that rather than treating him as a mate of 15 years, she went to court to have him evicted as if he were a tenant.
Yeah.
And it was that mediation that they made an arrangement for him to leave by September. Anyway, they were nice people, and ordinarily in those cases, you're not married, we don't handle almost marrieds, but they really were.
They had a good structure set up.
They had a good structure set up, which is important. So, that's a good lesson for people. If they're going to live together as a responsible couple, keep things organized. Yeah. It made it much.
District Mariano for the cost of a car, parking tickets, and a red light violation.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
How are you?
Case number 1169, DeAngelis versus Mariano.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to get a little background on the two of you. Who used to be friends? Who's that?
My witness.
We'll see. What do you do for a living, Mr. DeAngelis?
I'm a photographer and a lighting assistant.
Here in L.A.?
Yep.
And you, Mr. Mariano?
I do sales consulting for a carpet company.
How long have the two of you been friends?
We were friends for about a year, since about like August 2020.
Where did you meet each other?
He was an employee and a friend of my former studio partner, and I met him through him.
There came a time when you had a car that was for sale.
Correct.
What kind of a car?
It's a 2007 Honda Fit.
When had you purchased it?
I had purchased it December 2018 from a friend.
Friend's name?
Giancarlo.
How much did you pay for it?
Around $3,000.
Around?
Yes. Yes, around.
No.
$3,000.
Who has the title to the car?
Frederick does.
That would be you.
I do not have the title. The title was in the car when it was impounded.
Oh, that's so interesting. So you bought this car from Giancarlo for $3,000, and you sold the car to the defendant.
Correct.
For how much?
$2,500.
In what month and year did you sell him the car for $2,500?
May of 2021.
That would be June of 2021, actually.
Don't interfere. Don't interfere.
I have a text message that says he was saying that the car ran great and then agreed the installment amounts. May 15th, 2021, 3:29 p.m.
May I see that, Kevin, please? Okay, everything is good, everything is fine, everything is happy. You like the way the car was running. Mr. DeAngelis says to you on May 18th, all sounds good. Let's get the title handled as soon as you can. That was on May 18th.
I don't think it was.
I don't give a rat's behind what you think. That's when it was. On May 15th, I was just calling to say the car ran great. I get my car tips from the last 2 nights. What does that mean?
I don't ever remember sending those messages.
Oh, well, then maybe you should go to a neurologist. I was just calling to say the car ran great. I get my car tips from the last 2 nights. What does he mean by that, sir? Do you know?
It was some sort of employment that he had. He was just trying to make a false promise to pay me.
And I believe I should be about $400 to $600 so I can pay you then. Is that all right? Yeah, bro, of course. Glad to hear it. Just let me know. Absolutely, man, thanks. You got it with a heart. Hey, I was paid. This is on May 18th. I'm just waiting for the money to come through on PayPal. It says pending, but I'll have a few hundred for you and then a couple more next week. I'd like to try to give you 2 a week, so I'll be more like 6 a month.
Correct.
And you say to him, all good, dude, let's get the title handled as soon as you can. What happened to Target?
What happened to what?
Target!
What happened at Target?
Yeah, what happened to Target? Think before you answer me. Think. What happened at Target?
How does that pertain to the case?
What happened at Target?
I got in a fight.
Love it when a game plan comes together. You got in a fight with whom?
I had somebody try and jump me.
Close your mouth. Was there a warrant for your arrest from the incident at Target?
No.
What were you worried about evading the police for?
I don't know at all what you're talking about.
Well, how did you think I knew about Target?
Evading the police?
How do you think that I knew about Target? Do you think that I'm a soothsayer that I have behind here a crystal ball?
Probably not.
Probably not. It's because you're not as smart as you think you are.
I was not worried about evading the police ever.
Well, that's what you said. You said, I just wanted something more secure. I'd like not to have to worry about evading the police every night and no money worries.
I was working at an underground bar.
So I'd like not to have to worry about evading the police.
Yeah, I thought you meant in interest to Target.
Okay. Well, what kind of job at Milk?
A equipment job, just organizing things and getting trucks ready to go out and
Okay.
go out to film.
And the problem that you had with the job at Milk was passing the background check because of the incident at Target.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Does that refresh your recollection about these things? That you don't have any recollection about writing? Didn't he? Oh, my. And I thought that this was going to be an in and out. A one and done. Didn't he say he didn't have any idea what I was referring to? He didn't. Something about I don't know what you're referring to. I never wrote that. That's what I thought he said.
He said, what were you worried about evading the police for? He says, I don't know at all what you're talking about.
Okay, so took the car on the 15th of May. He told you on the 18th of May to please change the title. You didn't change the title, and you didn't give him any money, even though you said, I'm having money come in now from this job. It wasn't until, looks like June 9th, that you sent him $400 from Wells Fargo. That was after you landed in Miami. You did go to Miami, right?
I did for 2 days.
You did. And where do you live regularly?
Los Angeles.
And how did you get to Miami?
Work.
What do you mean work?
Work paid for it.
What kind of work?
An acting job.
Oh. You're an actor. Is that what you do? Is that what you...
It's not what pays the bills.
Well, what job was it in Florida that you were doing acting?
It was just a small short film part.
How long were you there?
2 days?
Well, was that the only time you went out of town?
No, I went out of town after I had gave Josh a call and tried to give the car back. I went out of town.
No.
I went out of town from the 20, let me see,
You were
July 21st to August 12th.
Where did you go?
First I went to Hawaii, and then I went to Spain, and then I went to Chicago.
How'd you get all to those places?
I had money saved up.
I hope this isn't an audition because you're not a very good actor.
Her friend, Frederick Mariano, owes for the cost of a car and multiple parking tickets.
Yeah, you got a lot of tickets.
I didn't get all of those tickets. I got 3 of those tickets.
5, Your Honor.
It only takes 7 tickets.
Why didn't you transfer the title to your name?
Because I couldn't transfer the title to my name, because you can't transfer the title in the state of California when there's tickets on the car already.
Incorrect, Your Honor.
Just a second. Show me that you made an attempt to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles to transfer the title to your name. It was declined because there were. Show me
I do not have that.
Show me
I don't have
an
that.
email. Show me a text where it says I tried to register
And
the car.
regardless,
I'm speaking. Don't speak when I speak. Show me an email or a text where you say, I tried to register the car. He asked you on May 18th. You went to Hawaii. You went to Spain. You went to Miami. You went to... Show me after May 18th when he said, please get the car out of my name. Show me where you said to him, listen, man, I tried to get the car out of your name. I couldn't because I couldn't register it because it had tickets.
I don't have that.
Of course you don't have that. And you have a payment to him of $400, which is the only payment that you made to him, of $400, and that was on the 9th. So between the 18th and the 9th, you clearly didn't try to register the car because you wouldn't have made a payment of $400 if you tried to register the car, right? That's either a yes or a no. Witness. How much were the tickets?
$623 for parking tickets and $490 for running a red light.
And how much were your tickets that you accumulated?
Just a second. Don't speak to him. Did you pay the tickets?
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
I didn't pay the tickets because I hadn't received anything from him, whether it be...
Well, when you pay the tickets, you come back. Right now, the car was auctioned off because he parked it in front of a red zone.
Yep.
But I know he owes you $2,100 for the car.
And for the red light ticket as well.
No, you didn't pay it.
I didn't pay it because they told me if I paid it, it would be a strike on my record. So I
then dispute it and say it was he who was driving the car. You'll go to traffic court.
So I signed a non-liability affidavit on the reverse side of that red light ticket and sent it off in his name. They said they couldn't process it because I didn't have his license number and something else on his information, birth date.
You have your wallet?
I do.
Take out your wallet. got a pencil?
I have a notepad.
He is going to read to you his license number, and Kevin is going to verify it.
Y as in you?
Yes.
So you dispute that one. Got it?
Okay, and regarding the parking tickets.
I'm not dealing with the parking tickets, sir. They weren't paid. $2,100 is what he owes you for the balance of the car. We're done here. Thank you very much.
Court is adjourned.
Bye. I'd stay with a full-time job, sir.
The car was sold to me with parking tickets already on it.
The truth is, it had about 7 on it.
I trusted him, and everyone told me not to, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, he didn't know how to drive 5-speed when I gave it to him, so watching him drive away, was a little terrifying.
Probably no more deals with friends.
Yeah, definitely not dealing with him anymore.
I think that these people who sell cars privately in installments to friends should rethink that.
I agree.
We've had too many of those things go south.
Especially without written contracts or any real legal way to hold them accountable.
Right. You have to say to yourself, what could go wrong?
And what can I do to make that not happen?
And to prevent that. And if that could go wrong, it probably will.
Yeah. And be prepared for it.
Case number 1175, Voorhees versus Rodriguez. Please step forward.
Zachary Voorhees is suing his friend, William Rodriguez, for the cost of designing a custom guitar instrument.
Mr. Voorhees, your claim is an unusual one, and I see that nobody has a device to show me exactly what it is that you're talking about, so you're going to have to do your best to explain it to me. You have an engineering background.
Yes.
And you and the defendant were friends. Defendant is a musician, and you play the guitar.
Play piano and guitar and a couple other instruments.
And what I gather is that you got together at some point and discussed creating a device for a guitar that enhanced in some way the experience of either playing or listening to the guitar.
Keytar, Your Honor. It's a blend between a guitar and a keyboard.
So how do you what does it look like? What does it look? Show me what it looks like. I have no idea what it looks like.
I would love to show you that. It's on my phone. If I could go ahead.
Just a second. You have it? Never mind.
So you hold it, I'm presuming sideways.
You hold it sideways?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you hold it either like a guitar or down here or up here, but it looks like a piano keyboard.
Yes.
And what was it that you were going to create for this piano keyboard / guitar?
Your Honor, I'm a LED artist and engineer.
What's LED artist?
It's a light-emitting diode. It's a form of digital lighting technology that can be controlled with a computer. And so the defendant approached me to...
Just a second. Is that what you do for a living?
I did software for YouTube and Google as a senior software engineer, and this was a side thing that I did.
So what you were creating was a lighting device for this piano / guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So it lit up and
It lit up.
Was it something that you could attach to the guitar?
Yes. It was attached to the guitar and built into it. We removed a piece of the guitar and replaced it with a light array.
Do you have the guitar?
It's here, yes, but it's not prepared to present to you.
I want to see what you removed in order to put your piece in. Can you take your piece out?
No, it's very hard.
Well, very hard is not the answer.
You can rip it
There are
out.
a lot of things that are very hard but doable.
No, you can't remove it.
Can you remove it?
Yes.
And how many pieces are there?
There are 2 pieces. There's the light array, which is built into the side panel, and then there is a computer unit that plugs in to the MIDI output of the guitar, which analyzes what's being played in order to drive the lights.
Okay. What you want is you've been unable to come to a contractual agreement with regard to exploiting this guitar. And if somebody could get it, Kevin, if you could go out there and bring it in just so I could take a look at it. You've been unable to come to an agreement with regard to how to exploit this thing monetarily. Am I correct that you do not have a written contract?
Yes, but we do have a memorialization of our contributions to the project, of which the defendant has listed my contribution.
Just put that down for a second, because Kevin's going to come back, and he'll bring it up to me. That's great. The memorialization, which you're going to show me, does it list a dollar amount?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did you generate it?
January 6, 2019.
Do you have a copy of that?
Not printed, no.
Do you know that it exists?
Yes.
Oh, that's a whole.
Yeah.
That's a whole big thing. But now I see it's huge.
That's kind of why the decision
Kevin,
was made.
just put it over next to the defendant. Did you buy that, sir?
I paid for all of the hardware involved in this. The keytar itself was a gift to me from a sponsor of mine, a music instrument maker.
But everything else there that's built in, with the exception of the lighting piece that he put in.
Oh, I paid for the lights as well.
His contribution?
I paid for the hardware. His contribution was software.
Whatever it is, I don't know, hardware, software, who cares?
Voorhees claims his friend, William Rodriguez, owes for the cost of a custom keytar. William is countersuing for harassment.
Kevin, there's a document that Mr. Voorhees has that he wants to show me where he says the defendant agreed what his financial contribution was. Do you know what this is, Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, Your Honor.
Would you explain to me what that is?
This was a expense document that was being made so that in the case that we were able to license the technology that we were building together, we would ask that this would be reimbursed by whoever licensed the technology.
Okay. So the question is, sir, you do not have an agreement with him. He did pay for the items that are marked on there, things that you had to buy.
Yes.
That's a yes. So you want, what you're asking for is for the court to make a contract for you.
Yes.
That's not a contract.
That's not a contract, you're right.
So you created a device.
Software, yes.
Get a patent for it. Courts don't create contracts for people. That's not what we do. We enforce contracts. We don't create contracts. If you created something out of your own mind, something that is of value, apply to the patent office to get a patent on it. He's not claiming that he invented this software.
That is correct.
That the mechanicals of it were created by the plaintiff.
The mechanicals in the software.
Of the software.
Yes, that is correct.
Your Honor, we had 50-50 split agreement. I gave the defendant the option of either paying me or allowing me sweat equity.
Courts do not create contracts for people. Is not an answer.
Yes, I understand.
I mean, I would say to you, if you can remove the device that you put in there, then remove the device. It's now yours. He doesn't have it anymore. You say you can't remove it. He is not claiming that he invented anything. You're claiming that you invented this LED software. If you claim that you invented an LED software
and installed it.
Well, you installed it, but you say you can't remove it.
Yeah.
Right? If you say you can't remove it, I'm not giving you that whole thing. That was a gift to him. Patent your software, and that if he intends to use it for any reason, you're suing for patent infringement, for violating your patent, if you get one. But courts don't create a contract for you. That's not what courts do. Got any questions?
I feel that there was a verbal contract, and I'd like to see that enforced because verbal contracts do have force.
They do have, but you want me to put a value on it, and I choose not to do that. I can't put a value on your work. What you want...
put a value on the work and your contribution.
No, he didn't agree to pay it. It was an agreement that if there was something that happened with regard to this product that came from your brain, your labor effort would be worth $10,000 to that person who purchased it. But he's not purchasing it from you. That was never...
But the value of it came from the design of the software.
Then what I'm telling you is patent it, and if he attempts to use it, see, if you patent it, you can make another one. You can make 10 more. And if he attempts to use your patented software without paying you or anybody that sponsors him, you sue him for patent infringement.
The patent game is a giant's game, and I'm just, I don't have the resources to get a patent and enforce it. I've been down this road before. I've gotten a patent. It doesn't seem realistic to be able to.
Well, I want to tell you something. I'm not an engineer. I'm a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to get something patented that I thought was a genius idea about 35 years ago. Even I managed to get drawings and I'm not an engineer, and I can't draw a straight line. So if it's too cumbersome a process for you, I'm sorry. You should have had a better contract. I'm not making a contract for you against him when there was nothing in that paper that you showed me that obligated him to pay you $10,000 for your labor. Patented. We're done.
Okay.
Patented.
Court is adjourned.
Thank you.
I felt that an oral contract would be binding, but the judge disagreed, and I'm going to accept that decision.
He has been a good friend to me in the past, and this was pretty sad to have to deal with this.
I agreed to forego payment in exchange for a 50-50 split.
There was artistic conflict.
All I wanted was 10 days out of the year to be able to use the device as I saw fit, and he was basically saying, no, I can't have it at all.
All I wanted to do was talk about why he wanted to use it, or the details of what he was going to be doing while he used it, and that was unacceptable to him.
But he took advantage of me. I don't think that I'm going to engage with him again.
I'm ready to move on.
So I have a friend, Taylor, that I go to law school with, and she is an engineer, and now she's in patent law. And it is some of the most specific, finicky, technical laws. Any regular lawyer can't just dip their toe into patent law. It's a really complex environment.
There's no question he knows how to do the process because he said he's tried the process before. And I had this idea for a screen, something to open windows and have a screen attached, and sent a prototype in to the patent office. You can do that.
Mm-hmm.
People do that all the time, even people who aren't engineers. So if he's invented something that's valuable, he should patent it, or at least make an attempt to patent it. But courts aren't in the business of creating contracts for people. And these two people really never had a contract. They had an agreement that if something was sold, they would be 50-50 partners.
A contingency, more so than a contract.
It wasn't sold.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't create a contract.
Yeah.
Interesting, and I learned what a keytar was.
Purgent bar.